Okay, hopefully we are live. That looks a little bit too quiet, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit. Now we're in the yellow. That still seems kind of quiet. This seems kind of loud though. Somebody tell me if this. I'm going to jack this up a little bit. Oh, I know what I should do. Hold on. I'm just trying to go by the little meter, down on the bottom of OBS there. Hopefully that's okay. And then once we, well, I don't know. Some people are saying it sounds good, and someone else is saying it's poor. So I don't know. You guys can figure out what you think there. So I'm gonna kind of wait a few minutes before I really get too much into the actual stream, just because I want to give people a chance to kind of file in a little bit. So, oh hey, Teresa's here. What's up? It's a tiny bit quieter than normal. Yeah, well, I can jack it up. How's that? See, I feel like the thing's not moving enough. There's the master mix. How's that? Okay, see that seems pretty loud. I don't want to go much louder than that, I don't think. I'll keep checking and seeing if what everybody says. Yeah, so someone says the room looks blue. So I kind of stole a little bit of an idea. Well, it's not an idea. It's like, Smoke Monster, who he was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still there. It's something he always does, has lights in the background, and I'm not saying I want to start doing that all the time, but since we're kind of doing a Sega stream tonight, I figured I'd just put a blue light back there. Sort of the reason that I did that. I just want to kind of talk a little bit before we start the actual Sega Genesis mini content, just to let people get here. So I'll tell the story. I was shooting the thumbnail for the Dreamcast launch video, and it was just a white wall in the background. And I was really trying to do something to light that wall a different color to make the Dreamcast stick out more. And it was just making me think that, I wish I could light up that wall a different color. And I don't have like an RGB video light or anything, but what I did is I went on Amazon and I bought like some gels. Like they're just big 12 by 12 sheets of different colored transparent plastic. And then I just cut little pieces out of them. So like the video lights I use have like little slots in them for you to put gels into. So I cut them just like that so they'd fit right in there. So like I have a video light like right here so you can see my hand get all bright. That one's just like a white light just to light my face. And then I have a blue light pointing at the background. But I'm not trying to steal Smoke Monster's mojo or anything. I just figured, it's my first night back streaming for a while, and we're doing some Sega stuff, so I just figured it would be cool to kind of light the room a little bit. What else? Well, I'm happy to be back streaming. It's been a really long time, and I do miss it. I do really want to go back to trying to stream, not every week necessarily, but I would say regularly. And obviously I was really kind of offline in general just because I was trying to get that Dreamcast launch video done. And now that that's done, I just feel like, I have more time to do other things. So like yesterday, but it finished processing today. There's something wrong with my editing computer. Yesterday I recorded a new show for this channel. It's not a flashback, but I just got back from that video game convention. And so I just kind of did a little, I think I'm going to call it like the after action report or something like that. And anyway, it took like 8 hours for that thing to process because there's something wrong with that computer. I just need to fix it. And so that'll be available I think tomorrow for patrons and then Sunday morning for non-patrons. So that's not bad whether you're a patron or not. The other thing I want to say that this is kind of another exciting development for the show is I've mentioned before that, Teresa, I think I want to do a fresh install of the OS and then obviously reinstall my editing software. I've mentioned before that there's this surplus store on the campus where I work where I found stuff that I need for the show just randomly, like the photo enlargement stand that I use for my magazine read-throughs came from there. My original digital recorder that I used to record the voiceover, that came from there. And off the top of my head, I don't remember what else. I found other tools for the show. And one of the things that has kind of sucked about doing live streams with any kind of HDMI source is that I couldn't hear the audio from the game because I couldn't really wire it up properly. And I walked into that place the other day and I found an HDMI audio extractor for pretty cheap. And so now I've got like the Sega Genesis Mini here is going into the HDMI audio extractor, and then the audio is going into my mixing board. So that way I can hear the game audio and I can adjust it if necessary if I think it's too loud or quiet. So, and I forgot what I paid. It was like $15. I mean, these things aren't super expensive. I think they're like 45 or $50, like on Amazon or whatever. Anyway, all right, we got like 90 people in here now. I think I've kind of wasted enough of your time just trying to sort of BS until people got here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I guess just to kind of give you the whole story of how this all happened, you know, so we did the live stream with the PlayStation Classic or whatever it is that they call it. And, you know, I just bought that. I pre-ordered that system and it showed up, you know, the day it showed up was like the launch day or whatever of that system. And the whole reason that I bought it was to do a live stream with, because I just figured that way we'll check it out together. And it's not really, you know, a review or anything. It's just sort of like, let's all check out the user experience together so that those of you who want to can decide if it's something that you want to buy. And so when the Sega Genesis Mini got announced, I did the exact same thing. I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and but then sometime later, I got this email from Sega. Basically, just it was like a mass email, I think, that they sent out to a bunch of YouTubers, just saying like, "Hey, you know, if you're interested in, you know, having one of these things to do a review or a live stream with, just like reply to this email with your shipping address or whatever." And so I replied to the email and I said, "Here's my shipping address." And I said in the email, like, I will stream with it. I won't review it because I don't want to do product reviews anymore. And I kind of forgot about it because they never sent me an email back and said, "Okay, you know, you're in," or whatever. And like quite a bit of time went by and I had just totally forgotten about it. And then I got this email out of the blue saying like, "Oh, these mini systems are starting to hit people's mailboxes, and so we just want to reiterate the rules as far as embargoes go," which kind of made me think I didn't get some kind of email somewhere along the way. And then sure enough, the next day the thing was on my doorstep. So I canceled the pre-order obviously, but just like as another example, you know, I've already pre-ordered the TurboGrafx 16 Mini or whatever that's going to be called. Again, really just so that I can live stream it with you guys. Like I don't really, these things are cool, but I don't, you know, I feel like I'm kind of getting saturated with mini systems and they kind of lose their luster. So, but I think they're fun to do live streams. And if it helps some of you guys, make purchasing decisions, then great. So, and that kind of gets to what I said in the description there. So this is not a sponsored stream. You know, like I did that Sega Genesis Classics collection. I forgot what it was called. Stream over on the other channel, and that was a sponsored stream. Like Sega paid me cash to do that stream, and I was very open about it when I did the stream. This is not sponsored, and just to, you know, for people out there that don't understand that, the fact that they gave me this unit does not make this sponsored content. Like I wouldn't be doing this just because they gave me one for free unless it was already something that I was going to do. So they didn't give me like any kind of talking points. I'm not going to give you guys a link to buy it or a coupon code. I don't care if you buy it or not. I'm just here to kind of help you see what it's like and see if you want to buy one. If you don't want to buy one, don't. So that's it. This is not a commercial and it's not a review. It's just we're checking it out together. I've spent very little time with it. I did already unbox it. I'm not doing an unboxing just to check it out. So I hope that makes it clear to everybody that, you know, I have to tell you legally, I think, that, you know, this is not sponsored content, but that they sent me one for free. So anyway, yeah. And then, so before we go any farther, I just want to say, I see I've gotten a few super chats already. And so I just want to make sure I acknowledge those. We got $10 from Pete, who says, "Tell your friends, tell your family. Classic Gaming Quarterly is where it's at." That's what I'm saying, Pete. Thank you very much. And then from JDude93, we got $1.99. Thoughts on Streets of Rage 4. that's another one I would love to do a live stream with that when it comes out, and we could check it out together. Um, I don't know. I'm excited about it. Some people aren't happy with the fact that it's going to have sort of that cell shaded kind of artwork and not look like the old games. But for me personally, I think I don't really like it when they come out with new games that look like old games. Like they're pixelated, but it's all fake. So, because the reason that they were pixelated was that was the limitations of the hardware. So, having it be cell shaded, like that's fine with me. Honestly, as long as the game is good, that's all I care about. And then we got, wow, we got $25 from, I don't know, I'm not even going to try to say your name. Oh, is that Killer Bees? Okay. Who says I'm doing good work and keep it up. Thanks, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the Dreamcast launch video. Keith Scherer, sorry I missed seeing you at AVGC. Yeah, it's too bad. I didn't, I really didn't get to meet a lot of people at that, and I had fun at that con. But the people, the fans of the show that I did get to meet were awesome. But I brought all this stuff with me, thinking I was going to meet a lot more people, and it just seems like there was like 5 of us there, YouTubers there, and none of us were really that popular with the people that were there. So yeah. And then oh my god, they're coming in too fast. We got $20 from EZO54098. Go Aggies. I agree. Thank you. I gotta try to go to a football game this year. And ET Gripper gave me $10 and says, "Here's a sixer of fat tire." Thanks, man. I don't really spend the money I get on the show doing things like buying beer. I'd rather put it back into the show, but I will buy myself a 6-pack of beer later. Although I have one here that I'm working on. This Tiger World. Where does it say it on here? World acclaimed Asian lager. I don't know if it's world acclaimed, but it's pretty good. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about the Sega Genesis Mini. So again, I'm not doing an unboxing. Yes, Derek, the UC Davis Aggies. I'm not doing an unboxing. Here's the box. I'll show you the box only because it looks cool. They were going for the same look as not the launch Sega Genesis, but like I got my Sega Genesis when they started packing Sonic the Hedgehog in with it, and that's basically the same styling that this box has. And so I mean that's kind of cool. Whatever. I know that for a lot of people, they're really buying these things to put on the shelf anyway. So if you are, good box. And then on the back, it just shows you what games it comes with. So Florida Budget Bike Build says, did you update the firmware? I honestly didn't know that you could update the firmware. So if that's true, that's something that you could do, then that seems like something that Sega should have sent me a follow-up email and told me and everybody else releasing videos today. So if it's true that you can update the firmware, then that's on them. But I don't know that for a fact. So anyway, that's the box. What else is there to say? I will say, just because we're not doing the unboxing, in case anybody doesn't know, it comes with 2 controllers. But, and this is kind of my first complaint, it comes with 2, everybody knows this already, but it comes with 2 3-button controllers. It does not come with a 6-button controller, which is lame because it comes with Street Fighter II Champion Edition. And I think the reason for that, people have said, is that Retrobit has some kind of exclusivity agreement to sell 6-button controllers. In an ideal world, it should have come with 1 of each. But for a 6-button controller, this really is a nice controller. The D-pad feels better than an original 3-button controller. But as some of you may or may not know, they did at some point, Sega did, do kind of a slight redesign of the 3-button controller and improve the D-pad. The buttons feel nice and snappy, like maybe a brand new Genesis controller would have felt. Overall, it feels like you're holding a real Genesis controller. But the difference here is that it has a USB connection. And I haven't checked. Hopefully somebody else has. I don't know if you can plug this in to, say, your Mister or your Raspberry Pi or a computer. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to, but I don't know for a fact that you can. And yeah, so Florida says he thought that there was a firmware update that fixes the audio lag. If somebody else wouldn't mind like Googling that and seeing if that's true, because that was going to be one of my major complaints about this thing tonight. So if there really is an update for that fixes that, then that's awesome, and then I won't harp on it quite so much. And then so I'll just show you the system really fast. It's about the same size, I would say, as Nintendo's mini systems. So in a way, this one feels a little bit more shrunken down because the Genesis is a little bit bigger footprint wise than an NES or a Super Nintendo. Well, I guess the PlayStation Classic is pretty small too. And I mean, so I'm just going to assume nobody knows anything about this thing, even though I'm sure that some of you do. Okay, Russell Butt says, yes, there's some audio lags, but the firmware update will correct that. Well, that's very good news. That's frustrating that Sega did not bother to send an email to all of us that they sent a console to tell us that. So obviously, I'm not going to make you guys sit here and wait while I update the firmware. So we're just going to roll with what came with it. So what I did want to say just quickly about the system itself before we plug it in is I was very impressed with the level of detail on the system itself. The cartridge slot, the flaps are actually spring loaded, even though you can't plug anything in. It really is like a shrunken down Genesis system. It's got the flaps in it. The volume slider slides up and down, but it doesn't do anything. But I don't know why you'd want to make it do anything. It would be really cool if it had a headphone port, but then they would have had to add like a headphone amplifier to it, and that I'm sure would have driven up the cost per unit. So that's not really a realistic thing to expect, but it would have been cool. The reset button does work because, like I said, so this does nothing. This is just like a toy, but the reset button does work, and it will take you back out to the menu system when you're playing a game. Obviously, the power switch does what the power switch does, and then you can actually take off the expansion port cover. Although for a US system, this doesn't do anything. It's just plastic under there. But my understanding is that if you get one of these in Japan, there's actually a Sega CD attachment for it. I don't know if that's really true. Brian says, how would you update the firmware? Well, it's powered by USB, so I'm assuming you would just plug it into your computer with USB, or maybe through one of the controller ports. I'm really not sure. If somebody else knows about that, then please speak up. Yeah, Eric says that he's using Google and not really finding anything. So I'm not going to talk about any kind of firmware update because I just don't know if that's true or not. So that's pretty much it. So we're going to go ahead and plug it in now, and we're going to check it out. Yeah, Juan says in Japan they're releasing a Mega CD and a 32X. Cosmetic only. Oh, so that doesn't add any more games to the system? Well, then that seems kind of... I guess it would look cool sitting there, but, okay, so, it's just powered with a USB... what is that? USB mini cable, USB micro. Is this mini or micro? I don't even know. The same as the other consoles are. And we just got to plug in the HDMI. And then we're going to plug in the controller, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch the view on the capture software over to the gameplay view. Okay, so I'm going to switch it now so you guys can sort of watch it boot up. I don't know if anybody cares, but then you can see it boot up. And then I'll have to adjust the audio of the system itself because it may end up being too loud. And it will take a minute for it to boot up. But we can see the screen's flashing a little bit. I'm using, in case it's not obvious, that might be a little bit loud. Somebody else can tell me. I'm obviously using my modern gaming stream layout, because this is a system that's displaying in 16:9. QE says, let's update the Mini if you have time. Yeah, let's check it out, and then if people really want to do the update, I don't have a problem with doing it. I just don't know how long it would take. So, somebody says play Bloodlines first, please. We can definitely play Bloodlines, but first I want to go through just, what your various options are here, and then I want to play more of a known quantity game before we start kind of branching out. So the first thing I'll just say, because somebody's asking about the menu music, is it original from a game? So basically what this menu music is, Yuzo Koshiro arranged this music. And so this was the first thing where I turned on the system and I was a little bit I don't want to say disappointed, but they made a big deal about the fact that Yuzo Koshiro was writing the menu music, and so I thought we were going to get like all new chiptunes. But really what he did was he took music from different Genesis games and sort of made a medley out of them, which is not bad. I mean, it's actually really cool, but it's just like, I wish maybe they had said that from the beginning instead of telling us that he was writing the music, because that I think led us to believe that he was writing new music. But it's definitely not that big of a deal. I think this actually, it makes more sense to do this from sort of a nostalgia perspective. We got $10 from Desert Ferret 7. So thanks, man. Yeah, he says Sega has add-ons for the Genesis, such as, yeah, it's too bad those were kind of failures, but yeah. Okay, so I don't really want to talk too much about the game selection. I'll talk about it a little bit, but it's just, everybody's been talking about that nonstop. And at the end of the day, with any of these mini systems, nobody was ever going to be satisfied completely with the game selection of any of them. So I'll just say there's a good selection of games on here, and there are definitely omissions that for me are sort of head scratchers, and there are omissions that, I personally would have liked to see certain games, but those would not have mass appeal, so I understand why they're not there. So I'm going to go into the settings real quick, because there really isn't that much to look at in there. I don't know what, please read this before playing. It's probably a epilepsy warning or something. So somebody just asked about this. You can go into languages, and you can change it from English to Japanese. And when you do, hold on. So that was one down and then one up. So once it's in Japanese now, it's hard to, I had a problem with that earlier, figuring out how to get back. And so now you see that you have this Japanese layout. You have the Japanese cover art, but you also have the Japanese versions of these games. So, which I don't know how many of these games that really matters. In Sonic, for Sonic, you're getting the more complete version of the game with the parallax scrolling in the background and whatnot. But I mean, is that really that big of a deal? It's kind of cool. It would have been cooler if they had say, like Streets of Rage 3 on here, and then when you switched it to Japanese mode, you got Bare Knuckle 3. Like, that would have been cool. But they don't. But anyway, it just looks kind of cool. I think the Japanese kind of layout looks better, and of course, Japanese games have better box art. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back just so I can read things. That was one down, and then this one. Cool. All right. All right. And so the other thing, there's only a few things, like I said, in the settings. So here you have screen settings. And this, so you only have two choices here. You have like what we have, which is basically 4:3. Like it's the original aspect ratio of the games. This system outputs 720p. So what that is a 3x integer scale for the game. So that way they're pixel perfect or 3x pixel perfect. So for almost none of the games will you have any shimmering. There's the few 256 by 224, I think it is, games, and I think those will give you a little bit of shimmering. But most of the games on here are 320 by 224, so then you don't get any shimmering. The other choice you have here is just to fill, you can fill the screen, which please don't do that, but if you really want to, do your thing. And then the other thing you can do on this screen, I think you press C. Yeah, see, so you see when you press C, you get that little CRT thing showing up in the corner. That just adds scan lines, but they did a really bad job with the scan lines. So normally when you have like a system where you can add scan lines, like a Mega SG or a Mister or an emulator on your computer, when it adds scan lines, it boosts the gamma and the brightness of the other two lines. Like, because if it's 3x, what it does is every third line gets dimmed. But if you don't do something, there are two lines, all you're doing is darkening the whole image. And unfortunately, that's what happens here. So it really kind of looks like crap. Somebody says I don't get adding scan lines anyway. I think when it's full screen, I think scan lines can look cool. I don't use them, but I admit they look kind of cool. But in this case, they weren't implemented properly. So you're not going to want to use scan lines. And I don't really care, except that so much was made of the fact that M2 was doing the emulation for this system. And it's a little bit disappointing that the scan lines were kind of not done properly. And then as we'll see, that there's that audio lag in the emulation that, according to some people, have been fixed with a firmware update, which would be great. But the fact that it was allowed out the door like that is a little bit of a disappointment. So we're going to back out of this one. And the only other thing I was going to show you is the wallpaper settings. This is another thing I'm kind of disappointed about. you only have 3 wallpapers. Because you're doing this 3x scale, you have a lot of extra real estate on the screen. Obviously, you can just have it be black, which is probably preferable. Then you have these other 2 things that are fairly generic. I don't even really know what that's supposed to be. And over here, this one's kind of cool just because it has kind of a 90s look to it. But yeah. And yeah, so QE is saying M2 scan lines are always dark. You have to brighten your TV to fix it. I mean, yeah, you're not supposed to have to do that, though. That's kind of lame. But it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I don't know how many people really use scan lines anyway. I don't, so it doesn't really affect me that much. Then as far as like the actual view for the games, you can sort by different things. So this, I think, is the default way, is just to sort them alphabetically. You can sort by genre, which I guess is cool, except that there's not like any kind of dividers to tell you what genre each thing is. So I think that's kind of stupid. And then you can sort by number of players. That's pretty cool. And then you can sort by release date. And just because, you know, I'm like the launch video guy or whatever, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with that. Just because you can see where Alex Kidd is in relation to Altered Beast and Space Harrier 2. Altered Beast and Space Harrier 2 were both launch games here in North America. And I guess this is just a particular pet peeve for me, because Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle is often misattributed as a launch game, when in fact it was nowhere near launch. And like, that's the kind of thing you'll see on Wikipedia, is that Alex Kidd was a launch game. And so that just kind of annoys me, because otherwise release date is probably how I would sort them, because that's how I sort my Genesis games upstairs on my shelf. So, and then the one other thing you can do, which button do you push here? Is it, I think it's C? No, B. You can switch the view so that you see the spines, which I guess in theory would be cool, except that I can't really read those. Maybe I'm just old or something, but you have to kind of be close to the TV. It's just cool if they did that so that you can see the spine art, though. So, but I just leave it like that. And so that's really all I have to go over as far as like any kind of settings or anything goes. So now I figure we're going to check out a few games, and I know somebody was asking to do Castlevania, but just as a means of sort of checking out the emulation, I think it's cooler to do a Sonic the Hedgehog game. And, you know, I've played a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog on my show already, but I don't really play much Sonic 2. So I figure that we'll check that one out. And yeah, don't worry, Derek, we're going to play Thunder Force 3. And I agree with you, Derek. It's a shame that Truxton's not on here, but again, I don't want to get too hung up on the game selection. So when you hit A, it goes this little screen that, you know, tells you a little bit about the game, which is cool. And then you just hit A to start the game. And so the one thing I'll say here, like I said, if you hit the reset button, it will bring up, it doesn't, I don't think it actually takes you out to the menu. It just brings up a thing. Yeah, see, it just brings up the system menu, because this is important. I know a lot of you guys are into this stuff. You can have save states on here. You have 4 save state slots, it looks like. And so you just hit save and it'll do a save state. And then from here, you can also load a save state. You can reset the game just out to the game's title screen, or you can return to the main menu. And the 2 ways to do that are you either hit the reset button on the console itself, or you hold down the start button on the controller for like kind of a while. It feels like, you know, 5 or 10 seconds. So I guess I'm just going to show the audio lag just so you guys at least see what, you know, what, oh, god dang it. I really hate these monkeys. Just so you can at least see what people are talking about, and then if the update fixes it, then great. But when you jump, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, and then I'm going to shut up so that you can actually hear it. When you jump, the actual jump sound doesn't start until Sonic is like halfway through his jump. And I didn't measure it, but GameSack did, and he said that it was about 11 frames of audio lag, which maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, it's a 60 frames per second game, right? So 11 frames is like 200 milliseconds, which is a lot. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and jump, and then you'll hear it. So is that a deal breaker? No. As far as like input lag goes, you know, I think it's physically impossible for these systems not to have any input lag, but freaking monkeys again. But it's definitely not bad. Like, I was playing Thunder Force 3 this morning, actually, and the only thing, the main problem was me sucking, not input lag. So I think it's fine. So we can play this through to like maybe the end of the first level. I want to spend more time bouncing around between games and not get too hung up on playing one specific game. Because if this was like a regular Sega Genesis live stream, you know, then we'd go ahead and just, you know, maybe even try to beat this game. I've actually never beaten this game. I sat down one night and tried to beat it, and honestly, I got bored of playing it. This game is way, way longer than the first one. And I had just kind of honestly had enough. Oh, there we go. So now we can go to the little special stage, so, which I featured a shot of this stage for just a few seconds in my Genesis launch video, which hopefully you guys enjoyed. It seems like overall it's been very well received. For once, I didn't make any major mistakes. So that's nice. I feel like every one of those episodes has at least one small mistake in it someplace, but it wasn't too bad. Cool. And then maybe I haven't been keeping enough of an eye on the chat, so once we get to the end of this and get the Chaos Emerald or whatever, or we don't get a Chaos Emerald necessarily, especially not the way I'm playing. I'm gonna go ahead and pause this and just kind of get caught up real fast. Hopefully, somebody tell me, hopefully the game audio is okay. I just want to make sure you guys can hear it. It sounds really good. Overall, the sound on this system is good. If you watched GameSack's, it's not a review because we weren't allowed to call it a review yet, but his first impressions video, which was really more or less a review and a very good one, he kind of showed some games where the sound sounds a little bit off. Oh, we did get Chaos Emerald. There you go. And one of them, unfortunately, is Thunder Force 3, but it's really not a big deal. So just give me a second, and I'm gonna hit the pause real quick and just make sure I haven't missed anything super important in the chat. Yeah, where is DeForte? I agree. Yeah, Mike, I don't even know if I made it to the final stage. I don't know how far I made it. It was just, it felt like I had been sitting there playing the game for like a couple of hours or something. And it was just, I don't know. I had just gotten tired. Obviously, I could have just paused it and come back to it the next day, but all right, I think we're okay here. All right. I don't want to make people sit here and watch me read the chat. So okay, like I said, we'll try to get to the end of this level, and then we're gonna go ahead and load up something else. In fact, you know, just to switch genres, maybe we'll play Thunder Force 3 next. Although I'm gonna warn everybody right now, aside from, like I said, playing it a little bit this morning, I really have not played Thunder Force 3 since I did that Genesis in 1990 launch video. Not launch video, but, you know, launch style video. And that's a game where you really have to do some memorization. And so I'm going to be really out of practice. So there's some... Never mind. Oh, there were spikes that pop out of the ground here. You know, I guess it kind of feels weird trying to sort of review or talk about one of these consoles, because in some ways, you know, I think it's sort of the habit of guys like me or GameSack or My Life in Gaming to want to talk about like the technical aspects of these systems, where I feel like really their target audience isn't going to care about those. It's either people who just want it as a collector's item, which is fine, or people who are very casual gamers that aren't going to notice that kind of stuff. So but I guess we don't really know how else to talk about it. So, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold down the start button to go back out to the menu. So there you go. And so just to show you, you can go hit, if you hit save, then you have to select the slot. We'll select the slot, your current progress. Yes, that's what I want. So there, boom, we got a save state, just to show you how that works. And then we're gonna go return to the main menu. And yes, we want to say we want to do that. And now we can go pick a new game. I noticed I got another super chat. Oh, it's from Teresa. Thank you very much. I guess, because DeForte is not here. Thank you. And what did Mothboy do? I got to meet Mothboy. Why can't I see Mothboy? I got to meet Mothboy at the convention last weekend, which was really cool. So it was nice to meet you, Mothboy. Okay, so we'll do some Thunder Force 3. Oh, there you are. All right. QE says you want the mini for the controllers. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what else you can do with these controllers. Did you take a picture of meeting Chris? Yeah, Mothboy forgot to take a picture. Mujanga says, are save states not the same as save files? Well, kind of not. When you talk about save states, you're talking about sort of taking like a snapshot of wherever you were in a game, which was not something you could do in the original game. So I'm assuming that with this system, if you're playing like a Shining Force game or something like that, that you will be able to save your game as normal, like if you had the real card. But for sure, you also have save states. So, and then, yeah, we're going to check out, Mike, we're going to check out Tetris. Although I got to say, I did check that one out, and I mean, I was not really that excited about it. That was just the demo. That was not me playing. I didn't think it was that good. Like, I would still rather play Tetris on the Game Boy, Tetris on the NES. So I wasn't that into it, but it's cool they put it on there, I guess. Rory's here. What's up, Rory? Glad you like the Dreamcast video there. Oh, I'm already screwing up. So I can never remember where all the bad guys come. The thing with this game is that you have guys popping in. Die, dude. You have guys kind of popping in from behind you. They come out of these holes in the floor. And so that's why you... damn it. That's why you really have to just... There's a certain amount of memorization, which is not... It's not a big deal. I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing, but it's just a fact. So... But I mean, this is as I said in that Genesis in '89 or Genesis in 1990 rather video. I mean, this really is an awesome game, and by far, in my opinion, it was the best. It was the best shooter that came out in 1990 for the Genesis. Although it was crazy how many came out, really in a very short period of time. It's like sometimes these episodes just write themselves. I think that would work that well. The end of the level, there's a spot here. Oh, you sucker face. You have to kind of hang out down here, because when you get almost to the end of the level, there's like one guy who shows up for like 2 seconds, and if you shoot him, you can have your little option things back. And again, maybe we can just play it until we get to the boss, and maybe if we're lucky, beat the boss. Or I mean, at this rate, lucky if we get to the boss, I suppose. All right, so here we go. Oh no, that's not it. Or is it? Yep, alright, boss battle coming up. don't know, man. I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Again, it's just memorization. Oh, all right, we got him. Well, that was a very poor showing, but we got him, so whatever. So that was enough of that one, because again, I want to keep moving on. Okay. So I'm just going to check the chat here again real quick. Does Thunder Force 3 look way better than Lightning Force? Maybe. I mean, they both look really good. They both look a lot better than Thunder Force 2. Although I love Thunder Force 2. And then Spirit Thief says, shame we can't have NHL 94 and other sports titles. I mean, I agree. That was kind of one of the things I was thinking about when I said that there were games I'd like to see on here that I realized would not be that popular. It would have been nice to have a couple of sports games, and maybe having an EA sports game was never going to happen. But, something like Sports Talk Baseball, they could have hacked the ROM and just taken out the player names and team names. But again, like, how many people are really going to play that? Like, some of us would, but I think the vast majority of people who buy this thing would not. So, so I don't know what we were going to play next. So, let's go out and have a look around. Yeah, Mutantly, like something like that would have been cool. But again, that's an EA game, so I don't think that was really ever going to happen. All right. Well, how about let's do some Streets of Rage? So just so you guys can see how the emulation is. And again, we'll just play the first level. But what we can do to make it a little bit more interesting. Oh, crap. Sorry. I meant to change something in the settings. So see, we just go to game reset, and then it just literally resets the one game. So not a big deal. Hung Box says hack the mini SG and get all the games. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to say. The main thing I really wanted to say about this system, like, it's a really cool system. If you're like me and you grew up with a Genesis, it's cool to have, but what is it? It's like $90 maybe, I want to say. And at that point, save your money a little bit longer, and you could buy a Mega SG and you could hack it. And I know that doesn't have sort of the nostalgia connection to it as much, but I mean, really, that can't be beat. So what I wanted to do here in the options menu is we're going to give ourselves 5 players, although I guess that doesn't really matter because we're only playing the first level, and then put it the difficulty on hardest. And yeah, Derek, you got a Mega SG. That's right. It sounds like you like it. I'm not gonna play a Skate. Yeah, Sega Dreams. Unfortunately, I have to support my beloved Sega. Yeah, I mean, that was part of the reason I had this pre-ordered. Is I love Sega, and as long as they put out a quality product, I would want to buy it to support them, which is part of the reason I had this thing pre-ordered. But I guess maybe they think this is a better way for me to support them. I don't really know. Although, maybe if I had told them I was going to stream it on the side channel, maybe they wouldn't have wanted to give it to me anymore. I don't really know. But, I did that other stream on my main channel because they kind of, that was part of the deal. Because I told them I didn't really want to stream it on the main channel, but that's what they wanted me to do. But like I said, they were paying me, so... So this is one of the things you notice when you put it in hard mode. You already have these red signal guys, even though we just started the game. And if you play it in normal mode, while you do have the yellow signal guys in the first stage or the first half of the first stage, I guess, they don't do that slide tackle motion on you. Not until you go into the bar. So you beat like the mini boss, which is that Jack the Ripper guy, or whatever his name is, at the sort of the front door of the bar. And then once you go inside, So you're sort of playing, I guess you could say it was the second half of the level. That's when the signal guys start doing their slide tackle. But when you play it in hard mode, they start doing it right away. I'm not sure. I feel like the regular guys have a little bit bigger health bars, but the bosses and the mini bosses definitely have bigger health bars. But it's just, I think it's more fun personally to play Streets of Rage 2 on hardest difficulty, and then you just give yourself 5 lives instead of 3 to sort of balance out the difficulty. But just this way, there's like more dudes to fight, and that's really kind of what the game's all about. So it's just like you can sort of kick that much more butt when you play it on the hardest setting. Yeah, someone's asking about making the borders black. Yeah, you can get rid of the wallpaper. I also kind of like the wallpaper because if you notice, it casts a shadow around the outside of the gameplay portion of the screen that makes it kind of stick out. I just think it looks kind of cool. I think the one thing I kind of wanted to say about the wallpapers is, like, would it really have been that much work? And I had this exact same complaint about that Sega Genesis collection for PS4. Would it really have been that much extra work to make a few, like, game-specific wallpapers, especially for the more popular games? I mean, I don't know. It's just like, shouldn't something like this be about fan service? And, you know, so can't you just hire an intern or something to make stuff like that? I mean, shoot, I could do it. So, and I don't even know the first thing about graphic design outside of, like, whatever it is that I do on my show. So, I mean, again, it's not a big deal, but it's just like, that's pretty low-hanging fruit to do something like that. And when they don't do it, it's like, you're not really going the extra mile. And, you know, the price of these mini consoles seems like it kind of keeps going up. Because I think game companies are realizing that they can charge a little bit more. Because, like, what was the Nintendo Mini was like $60, right? And that came with 2 controllers. And my memory is this one is $90. But someone can correct me if I'm wrong, if it's only $80 or something. But, I mean, in any case, it's more, and that's the point. And, like, what are they really giving you for that more? And, I mean, it's kind of, you know, again, I said I didn't want to spend time, like, you know, bagging on the game selection. But, you know, things that are kind of head-scratchers are like, why is this the only Streets of Rage game on here? You know, like, I understand not wanting to pay third-party publishers to license their games, you know, like Electronic Arts. But, you know, like, why aren't Thunder Force 2 and 3 and Lightning Force on here? It just seems weird. Get away from me. But like I said before, there's a good selection of games on here, so I'm not complaining. I just kind of like, I don't know. I guess I just kind of wonder, like, why is that the case? And it's kind of the same thing with the TurboGrafx Mini. Like, there are some really good Hudson Soft games that they left off. But, you know, I watched a video that Happy Console Gamer did, talking specifically about the TurboGrafx Mini, but you could apply it to anything. Which is that, you know, the bottom line is that so far, not a single one of these has not been able to be hacked. And as long as that's the case, we're just going to add whatever games we want to it. So I guess, you know, the initial selection of games just really isn't that big of a deal. But I mean, I guess it's just sort of a topic of conversation. But like I said, it's more about you just kind of scratch your head about, well, why didn't you put all this extra stuff on here? There we go. Oh, I forgot the turkey, damn it. Well, I think that's probably enough of Streets of Rage 2. That was quite a bit. Yeah, Smoke Monster is right. They really are encouraging hacking. I mean, people were going to do it anyway. I mean, let's be honest. But it definitely, I think, makes people want to do it more. All right. Let's check out Tetris real quick since we were just talking about it. So there's 2 games on here that had never been released previously. One of them is Tetris. What was the other one? I already forgot. Well, there's Monster World 4, but that doesn't... So Monster World 4 Was that ever released in the U.S.? And then Mega Man Wily Wars was released in the U.S., but only as a downloadable game on the Sega channel. Yeah, Darius, you guys are right. Where is that? We'll check out some Darius in just a bit. So, but really, I think I believe that's 4 games that were not initially available in the U.S. in cartridge form. Oh yeah, Russell's asking about. So Russell, we're gonna play it right now, and then you can check it out. Did you know Sega Master System had a built-in game? Yes. Anybody that watched my Sega Master System launch video should know that. Is there a rewind feature? No. Come on, dude. There we go. All right. So I mean, it's Tetris, you know, and it's fine, but I don't know. For me personally, I think, you know, I'd rather play it on the NES. You know, I'm one of those guys that loves Tengen Tetris, but honestly, the Nintendo version of Tetris is like, you know, my friend Jonathan, when I was a kid, he had Nintendo Tetris. I had a Game Boy at the time, so I was playing it that way. Let's see if we can get like one Tetris. If I can manage to not screw this up. Oh man, we're already kind of screwed. My fault though. Alright, where's the least crappy place to put this? Guess right there. Put that there. Really, man? Yeah, things are going from bad to worse. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that great of a Tetris player to begin with. And I haven't played Tetris for quite a while, so. Oh. So I don't know. I mean, it's not bad, right? Maybe I was a little bit too harsh with what I said, although I didn't. I mean, like I said, it's not bad. It's still Tetris. Let's see if we can get out of this mess. I hate to put that there. I have to put that there. So it's funny. Somebody was selling a reproduction cartridge of this at that gaming convention I went to. It's funny. So there was this one booth that was right across from my booth, and they were selling a lot of game reproductions. But it's funny. They had them all in just like a shoebox, and it said, you know, game reproduction. It was like 20. Let's just say it was $20 a piece, just for the sake of argument. And it's funny. I mean, I popped my head in the box just because I was curious, and like the labels on half of them were like peeling up. I was just kind of embarrassed for them. I see we got $20 super chat from J Dude, so thank you. Yeah, Fire Rescue says you're bad at Tetris. Yeah, I'm bad at Tetris. It's one of those things where I think, you know, I'm just gonna screw myself some more here. I don't really want to keep even playing this. It's one of those things where the more you play Tetris, you know, you kind of get good at it, you know, and then you get out of practice when you're not playing it, and that's definitely where I'm at right now. All right, I mean, how much more of this do you guys really want to watch? The music is terrible. I mean, I wouldn't say it's terrible, but I think we all, at this point, associate Tetris with a particular song that is certainly not on here. So, and yeah, it's definitely, Ray Dell says it's really irritating and repetitive. It's definitely very repetitive. Main menu. Morpheus wants to know if Revenge of Shinobi is on here. No. Right? No. Because that's really kind of stupid that it's not on here. I think Shinobi 3 is on here, right? Although I shouldn't even say that. Maybe I'm... Yeah, there's Shinobi 3. No Revenge of Shinobi, which is a pretty big... That's another just sort of head-scratcher. You know, why is that not on here? Columns is on here just because Josh was just bringing that up. And hey, Drubo's here. Isn't it like tomorrow where you are, Drubo? Yeah, anyway, all right, let's see what else we got on here. Illicit Dragoon, I never played that game. I don't even know what kind of game that is. Altered Beast, I mean, that one's kind of got to be on there. Castle of Illusion, Castlevania Bloodlines. You guys want to check out Darius? I'm going to embarrass myself again with Darius. Darius is another one of these games that really requires a lot of memorization, and so if you... you know, if you're just starting to play it or something, you're not going to do well. But, you know, if you just kind of work on it for a while, you pretty quickly get better. See? I'll say this, the music on this game sucks. I mean, it's good music, but the sound quality of the music is pretty bad, I think. You know, and I'm still stuck with this freaking pea shooter. So I'm holding on the A button to shoot, and then you hold that. If you press the B button, you also have bombs. Well, now at least we got some shields. Those are going to be helpful. How does that work? So I don't, you know, I've really, outside of like Darius Gaiden on the Super Nintendo, on the Sega Saturn, I've just really never been that big into the Darius games, which maybe some people will think that's sacrilegious. But, oh my god, we almost died right there. But, yeah, there we go. You know, the power-ups are just too few and far between, and I'm just not that into it. So, anyway, New York Pinstripes says, I can't wait for the next flashback. Yeah, I really want to get that done, but as I think I said it in the video that I recorded yesterday that I haven't uploaded yet. The next episode of Flashback is going to be kind of a big episode for me. I don't know how entertaining it will be for you guys, because sort of like the main topic of the episode is something that's not going to have a whole lot of mass appeal, but I'm kind of hoping that the context in which I tell the story will be relatable to a lot of people. I'm going to play some Ghouls and Ghosts. This is another game I'm not like super good at this game, but I really like. I love this game. I mean, I probably had more fun because I showed this game. Obviously in my Sega Genesis in 1989 video, and it was probably the game I had the most fun playing. I think for a long time growing up I had a really negative opinion. It's one of those things, like, I knew that they were good games, but you know, I grew up playing Ghosts and Goblins on the NES, which is a really bad version of the game. And it's also really hard, you know, but part of the reason that it's hard is because it's a really bad port. And part of it is just that, you know, all of these games are pretty difficult. And so I think it kind of colored my opinion of the series for a while. But, you know, when I made that video, the Genesis in '89 video, obviously I had to play this game. And I had a really good time playing it, so... this is one of those games where, I've said this before at some point on the channel, but this is one of those games where I'll pop it in and just let it run in attract mode, just to hear it running in attract mode, because I like the music and the sound effects from the game. trouble. So we made it to the boss, but we're naked as a jaybird. And this is not the weapon that I would have wanted to have hammered out. My favorite weapon for this game is, I forgot what it's even called. It's like the dagger, but they don't call it that. What do they call it? The knife, maybe, or something? Oh, boy. Oh, no. That was very sloppy, but it worked. If you guys will indulge me, I'm going to play a little bit more. Oh, I hate this level, though. I hate these jumping turtles. I hate it because, you know, you get the random one that, like, sticks to the floor instead of this guy, like, you know, instead of continuing to jump. Oh, I hate that. Chris was dunking on people. No, I wasn't. It's funny you say that, though, because I know you don't mean that literally, but AVGC took place, or at least I should say the vendor room, or one of the two vendor rooms, and, you know, I was in one of the vendor rooms, was like a basketball gymnasium. So there were actual basketball hoops that, you know, I could have used to dunk on people if I had a vertical leap of more than, you know, 6 inches. See, then this part this is one of these parts where you have to have it memorized, as far as like where the bridge has the little openings in it, and I don't remember, so we're probably about to die. Oh no. Ooh. All right, game over. Well, so that wasn't that good, but I haven't played this one in a while. But it's a great game. Oh, so Raydell wants to see Ecco the Dolphin. Okay, I'll play a little bit of Ecco the Dolphin. I've really never... I don't know. I like Ecco the Dolphin in theory, but I never really understood what the heck to do. But, I mean, just so that, you know, because maybe you're asking because you just want to see how the emulation is or whatever. So, we'll check it out. But I'm not going to play it for too long just because I don't even know enough about what to do in the game to have it be entertaining to watch. Rick Macchio's taken off. He had to go back to work, that I understand. So, no problem, man. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, you know, I never had Ecco the Dolphin, but my friend at the time, my good friend, he got this. I mean, I don't know. This would have been maybe 1993, maybe even early 94. His family got a Genesis when, and this was their first video game console. They got a Genesis when the Model 2 came out. And so when they got it, Sonic 2 was the pack-in, but I remember that they also got this game. And I remember sitting down and playing it and thinking like, wow, this game looks really cool. But I just never knew what to do. Like, I feel like this game is very like not obvious what you're supposed to do. Without outdoors inspired. Is this live? No, it's actually pre-recorded. It just doesn't seem obvious. You know, how are you supposed to know what to do? And maybe I'm just dumb, or maybe I was just dumb when I was a kid. I mean, I think I'm still pretty dumb now, but whatever. That is a lot of jellyfish. But in a way, it's kind of one of those games where, like, I I kind of want to play it at some point. Like maybe I need a walkthrough or something, and that's okay. But I don't know. It just I'm intrigued, and it does for the Genesis. It has really good graphics. Like the level of detail in like all of the little creatures there, like the coral and the tiny fish. It really looks great. All right, that's not what I was really trying to do. But can't you eat? Can't you like eat these fish? Oh yeah. All right, so we have to do something to move that thing. I forgot what, right? You can't just like, yeah, you don't just do your little sonar thing. All right, you have to get a key glyph. I don't know. Maybe that's enough for this game. I don't know. I don't want to. I feel like this is going to get real boring real fast just because I'm not familiar enough with the game, I think, to play it in a way that's entertaining. So, yeah, but thinking of it like Metroid, actually, that's yeah. Does anyone here like video games? I don't. I have this whole YouTube thing purely for the money. I actually don't like video games at all. What's Light Crusader? Oh, do you guys want to see Mega Man Wily Wars just to see that it's crappy? Yeah, I know he's trolling. I was trying to troll him back a little bit. So Wily Wars, somebody else will be able to explain this better than I will. I know it's Mega Man 2, but I think it's sort of an amalgamation of a couple of games. I'm not positive. I don't think it's just Mega Man 2, but I could be wrong. But it's really not good. And so in on one sense, it's cool that it's on here because it was never released in cartridge form, and that's kind of cool. But at the same time, playing Mega Man 2 on the Nintendo is so much better. Oh yeah, Mega Man 1, 2, and 3. Well, I guess I would have. Yeah, there you go. Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3. So we'll play some Mega Man 2. I don't have a save file. Yeah. All right. Rearranged music's kind of cool. I really like the intro to Mega Man 2, so let's just check this out real quick. That was a little bit of a letdown for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I was expecting that to be better. All right. So when I'm playing on the NES, it's always Metal Man first. So we'll try that. Someone tell me, is the game audio still all right? I'm fearful that I turned it down too much or something. I mean, it's not that bad. I don't know. I guess if you were somebody that had a Genesis that didn't ever get an NES, then maybe this would be okay. I don't know. These things take more hits to kill now. Remember, if you played this on the NES, this was like this recharge spot. You'd sit here and you'd keep shooting these things, and you'd get lucky and you'd get some one-ups too. But it didn't take. I feel like it took a fewer shots to dispatch those things. So we're just gonna move past it. Yeah, Derek. I don't think you can fire quite as rapidly in this game. Really? All right. Seems like, I don't know if it's that everything takes more shots to kill, or if it's just kind of what Derek was just saying, that you just can't shoot quite as fast. Because, you know, either thing would have the same net effect. Oh boy, we're in trouble. Really, man? Yeah. What the heck? I never have these problems on the NES version. Oh, Smoke Monster saying you can only shoot every other frame. That's pretty lame. And then Ray Dell wants to see Road Rash 2. We could play some Road Rash 2. I'm not the world's biggest Road Rash fan. At least not on the Genesis, but you know, this live stream is kind of for you guys too, so you butthole. Let's just see if we can at least get to the boss. And by the way, since he's still here, may I just say that I had the pleasure of spending an extended amount of time with Smoke Monster this weekend, and he is just the loveliest individual. We need to convince Smoke Monster to move up here. He's your best friend material, Smoke Monster. All right, there we go. Oh gosh, now I gotta make this leap of faith. All right, we're going to fight the boss with 2 life bars, but I guess now we made it to the checkpoint, at least. Yeah, and I wouldn't normally call somebody lovely, but he's just a lovely guy. Oh, there we go. Great. Not being able to shoot very fast is really salting my Kool-Aid right now. Speaking of sayings that nobody says anymore, I was glad to see that at least a few people noticed the email that I sent to myself in the Dreamcast launch video. So, you know, I work with a lot of people who are quite a bit younger than I am. Like I have 2 employees at work that are, they're both in their early 20s. And I asked them specifically, I said, hey, does anybody say like that something rules anymore? Like if you want to say like, hey, this beer rules. And they both laughed in my face and said, oh, nobody says that anymore. And I said, good, perfect. So that's why I put it in that fake email. And it was cgquarterly@hotmail.com, because back then Hotmail was still of a thing. There's nothing redeeming about this version of Mega Man. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. What do they say now? I don't know. Things are lit. You can say something sick. They still say that. Or you could say something is lit. I don't even remember the rest of them. I don't know. I feel like such an old man with them. They're all Snapchatting and listening to music that I've never heard. They tell me that, I said this, I think, during my Q&A at that con. According to them, Nirvana is like oldies. And that really stings. I'm sorry. Road Rash 2, right. Sorry. I had a temporary brain fart. Oh, is Dave Bladegun in here? Sorry if I'm not using the proper enthusiast tone. By the way, somebody asked, I think it was Russell, was asking what I was drinking. So it's this... So, I like Thai food. Most people like Thai food, I guess. And there's this Thai restaurant I go to, and they have like a bunch of different bottled beers. And they have this beer. It's Tiger beer. And I don't even know where... Oh, Singapore. It's from Singapore. And I got it one time, and I liked it. And And so then, of all places, I was at Grocery Outlet a while back, and they had 6-packs of it, and which I thought was crazy. So here's why I like it: is it actually tastes a lot like an Oktoberfest style beer, like a Bavarian Märzen. And which when I had some, it took me by surprise, because I feel like usually Asian beers, especially like the rice-based ones, have like a real sort of Pilsner kind of thing going on, which is fine. But I've just kind of come to associate that with Asian beer. And so when I tried this one and it tasted like Oktoberfest beer, I was pretty surprised, and so I kind of liked it. But now, of course, we're in like late September. Is it late September? I don't even know what the date is today. All right, we're not in late September. We're in early September or mid. Now you can get like real, Oktoberfest beer now. In fact, I just came home with some an Eyinger, which is actually my personal favorite Oktoberfest beer. But that's just started to show up on the shelf. So you can see that I suck badly at Road Rash. I don't know. For me, it's just like this game is like. It's like all hat and no cattle, Like, this really could have been a good game. I know a lot of people really like it, but I don't like the controls that much. I feel like if you play a Road Rash on, like, the 3DO or the PlayStation, it's just quite a bit better. But let's see if we can at least just make it to the end of the stage or whatever. I already just punched 3 people. That's pretty good. Going on a massacre. It's a really good idea for a game. I'll say that. The frame rate, generally speaking, for these games is not that high, and like I said, I find it a little bit hard to control. Maybe I just don't spend enough time with it. This is probably an example of one of those games where, I don't know when the first Road Rash came out on the Genesis, but at some point I'm going to do, Sega Genesis in 1990, whenever this came out, and then I'm going to be forced to sit down and play it, and then by the end of it, I'll be like, what are you, walking back to the starting? Okay. And then I'll end up falling in love with it, I think I just said this to somebody at the convention. I don't think I said it like in a panel or on a video, but, I've always said, I've always said that I don't really like Mortal Kombat, but, I had to play Mortal Kombat Gold for the Dreamcast, launch episode, and I will admit, that is the first time I ever actually had to kind of learn how to play the game a little bit. Like I was playing it with Johnny Cage and with Raiden, and I memorized for each one. I memorized how to do one of their fatality moves, finishing moves, and dude, where's my bike? That's far. And I think I've come to this conclusion. I think that it is impossible to do a fatality move or whatever you want to call it in Mortal Kombat and not have a huge smile on your face when you pull it off. Like I forgot how many times, because you got to make sure you get a good shot, because especially in Mortal Kombat Gold, it's 3D. So at the end, it'll try putting the camera in like different places. So sometimes it just didn't really come out that good. But what happened? Oh, okay, we wrecked. Too bad. So I did it multiple times with both characters, and any time I did the fatality, I had like the hugest smile on my face, because it's just funny. So, which I think was a big part of why. Wow, we're getting loaded onto. Wait, they're loading the bike and leaving me there? That's pretty fun. I forgot what I was really saying, but it's a lot of fun, and that was one of the big draws of that game, and so I get it. Like, I still feel like if you really want to play like a really good fighting game, I still don't think the Mortal Kombat games, at least not the early ones, are anywhere near as good as the Street Fighter series. But I get why they were so popular, because it's pretty fun. What's the timetable on the Nintendo episode coming out? Come on, man! I just barely got the Dreamcast episode out. I don't know. I that's all I can really say. We have to see once I really get into it. We'll see how it's going, and how long it takes. But don't expect it to be anytime too terribly soon. I'll try to upload other stuff in the meantime. In fact, one of the things I don't want to say this and have people start saying stuff in the chat, only because now is not the time, I guess. But one of the things I really want to do on the show, is I want to start making some shorter videos to go between like the launch videos. I want to find topics I can talk about where it'll still sort of be the same quality and sort of the same style as a launch video, but what if it was like a 10-minute video about just a smaller topic? Like Video Game Historian does this. He just did the one about the 9-year-old that sued Nintendo. It's just like sometimes it's nice to be able to put out a shorter video that you can just get out there, but that still has the same, it's still being held to the same standard as the longer ones. And so I'm trying to think of topics that I could cover. And one of those topics was actually the original Mortal Kombat. But I'm totally open to suggestions from you guys, but I'm just saying if you do it in the chat, I might not see it. But it's the kind of thing if you have ideas you want to email to me or tweet at me or whatever, that would be really cool. So, yeah, Mike, that's kind of what I'm saying, is covering single games, but maybe, especially if it is like a multi-platform game, like Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat, because then I could talk about, it being developed for the arcade. I could talk about it being ported to the home consoles and released on Mortal Monday, and how even the Game Boy version was pretty good. But I bet I could do that in about 10 minutes, I think. So yeah. So kind of like Friday Night Arcade. I mean, I don't know. I think some of Friday Night Arcade's bigger videos are actually I was just talking to him today, actually, and he's doing these videos about, games that push the limits of a particular system, and those are going really well for him, but those don't cover just one game. So, okay, I forgot. What did we say we were playing next, or did we even say we were playing next? You know what I want to play next? This game. Some Super Fantasy Zone. Yeah, No Blood on the Super Nintendo. Like, that would be something. Maybe about things we did as kids when we rent games. Yeah, that's more of something I would put up on like CGQ Plus, though, I think. All right. I know I must have played Super Fantasy Zone at some point. I don't remember. I enjoyed playing Fantasy Zone when I had to play it for the show. But that was on the TurboGrafx 16 in 89 video, I want to say. So I just figured I would check this out. That is too soon for the shop to come around. Oh my gosh. Oh, dang it. Yeah, Derek, I thought about doing, at one point I wanted to do that. I wanted to do like a series called like Weekend Rental, where, I just sort of reviewed a game that would kind of fall into the weekend rental category. But, I think the idea of just doing single game reviews on eBay is kind of like, I think it's kind of a dead idea at this point. Like, there used to be a time where you could have success on YouTube doing something like that, but I think the days of doing that are kind of over. So I'm talking about doing something a little bit meatier than that. I want to stay sort of with talking about the history of some games. So it's more important that a game has an interesting story. I mean, even like when I did the House of the Dead 2 segment, I got to talk about some old zombie movies and about how like the original House of the Dead kind of helped, bring zombies sort of back into the pop culture consciousness. That made it interesting, because otherwise it's like at the end of the day you're just talking about some light gun game. But you can't just do that with like any old game. The last one. Hey, get away. Why am I going so slow? Big hitbox. JDude93. Indie games inspired by retro titles? Yeah, I don't know, maybe. Would people want to? I don't feel like people. I don't know. I just don't feel like people are are watching my show for that. You know, talking about like new games. I'm just not sure. You know, it's something I'm spending a lot of time thinking about. And honestly, I just want to try to pick one topic to begin with and make it a show, and just kind of see how it goes. Well, that was quick. I think that's game over too. Right? Yeah. All right. Well, that was a pretty cool game anyway. Does anybody else have specific requests? I see Ray Dell's asking for Monster World 4, but I want to try to give somebody else a chance to pick a game. I'm not opposed to playing that game. I want to make sure that other people are getting their game choices picked. Sorry, I popped the microphone a couple times. All right, 2 people asked for Alisia Dragoon, so we'll check that one out just because I don't even know what that game's all about. Okay. Sorry, I was just reading the description. We can definitely check out Castle of Illusion. I like that game. It's a run and gun, all right. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Pretty small sprites. Oh, wow, all right. Oh, I like... Wow, this whole lightning thing's pretty cool. What did I just do? I just hit A, so that caused that whole thing to happen. I don't know. I mean, do people consider this to be like a good game? Because, I don't know, it's okay. Like, I'd prefer maybe, like, less enemies and then, like, more precise shooting. Unless I'm just not playing it right or something. Sega Dream says it's a very good game. Yeah, I mean, this is just like, you know... I've never played it before, so that's just first impression. Oh, I got the rank of Worm Master. I'm guessing that's not meant as a compliment. Oh, hey, Nebdoza. New background lighting. I was just trying to do something a little bit special for this stream, but I got to say, overall, I think, you know, normally I have this big yellow, well, it's not yellow, it's an incandescent light here, kind of lighting everything, and I don't think it looks okay. But I think this looks pretty cool, and it would just be kind of fun. You know, like Smoke Monster has this thing where it's always like the pink light and the blue light, and that's sort of like the look of his show, which is awesome. But I think maybe it would be cool. I have all these different gels I can use, and maybe we could change the color of the gel based on like what we're playing. So, yeah. So I'm gonna try playing this a little bit more. Just I've never played this before, and I don't know. It just I'm intrigued. But maybe I'm just not playing it the way I'm supposed to. Like, what am I supposed to... Is that dragon supposed to be, like, doing something? Select what? I don't... I got a good... Here's a question that I don't actually know the answer to, but... I don't know if this mini console has, like, manuals built in. This game seems like I would like to know... I would like to read the manual for this. What did I just do? Oh, see, if you don't shoot, it kind of charges up your lightning. That's kind of cool. I don't know, I still feel like I'm just not playing this properly. Yeah, I'm dead again. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Mujanga. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Turrican. So, yeah. Nobody wants to tune in and watch me suck at something, so we're going to switch to something else. But, I don't know. Maybe that's a good game. Maybe it's not. I mean, I guess it must be okay if it's on here. YouTube, what model microphone and boom arm are you using? So this microphone, this is an Audio-Technica AT 2020. The boom arm is, I don't know. I got it on Amazon. It was like $60. It's a little bit of a nicer one, but not a really nice one. It's just, you can get a lot of boom arms on Amazon for like $20. My friend has one. You're getting a $20 microphone. So, you know, or $20 boom arm rather. This one is a little bit more sturdy. And it has kind of a way for you to route the microphone cable. So I like that. I'm going to play just a little bit of Golden Axe. Well, yeah, Dave, you're way ahead of me. I just feel honor bound to play that one. Is this one a little bit louder than the other games were? It sounds kind of loud in my ears, so you guys tell me if it's too loud. I don't want my voice competing with the game audio. And I need a drink. So, one thing I'll say about the controller, you know, one of the things, you know, one of the reasons I think that the D-pad on the 6-button controllers, talking about original controllers, is better than the 3-button. It's easier to pull off moves where you have to double tap in a certain direction, like, you know, Axel's Grand Upper in Streets of Rage 2, or like in this game, the dashing. So that's nice, because like on an original 3-button controller, you know, the D-pad was fine, but it certainly wasn't great. And so the sort of the upgraded D-pad that's in this is really nice. Oh, Mike, don't even worry about it. You know, if there's one thing I never forget to do when I'm playing Golden Axe, it's to properly position myself over the campfire. QE says, play whatever, have fun. You're going to be on the Switch. What are you going to play on the Switch, QE? I'm just curious. The last time I turned my Switch on was the day that, you know, you were supposed to be able to get Super Nintendo games on the Nintendo Online service. But that was like, I want to say that was the day before I had to leave on my trip to go to the con. And the eShop was being slammed so hard that I couldn't even connect. So, which, you know, was kind of a shame, because like I was going to bring my Switch with me on the trip. It's kind of funny. Like, I was going to bring it with me so I could play it on the plane. And I also figured I'd bring it to the show in case I got bored. But, you know, I had people like Corey convincing me that I was going to be just so famous at the show that I wouldn't have time for anything. And then, you know, at that show, honestly, I brought so many postcards with me to like sign and give out to people, and I probably gave out like 20 over the course of 2 days. Like, and it was just funny because it was the same thing for all the YouTubers, really. You know, Adam Koralik was there, which, you know, whether you like Adam Koralik or not, he's a popular YouTuber. And I will say this, at least to me, he was very nice. And it was the same thing. Like, hardly anybody came up to him. You know, Bob from Retro RGB was there. Smoke Monster was there. We all had, you know, a few people come up to our booths, or, you know, oh, see, I just didn't do it because I was talking. Now I have to beat the next level so I can do it. Yeah, I don't know. So my point is, I had plenty of free time, and if I had had my Switch there, I would have at least had something to do. Hey, when is that? Somebody, I already kind of talked about that, Captain, but, I mean, all I really said was I'm looking forward to it. I want to check it out and maybe stream with it. When is that coming out? I honestly have no idea. But, I mean, I'll probably end up getting that. Well, I don't know how I'm going to get that. For some reason, I feel like I want to get it on the PS4, but I don't know. I did get, I forgot. Dave, was it you? Dave Blade Gun? I'm trying to remember who told me. Who told me to buy Mutant Football League on the PS4? I swear that was Dave, but I don't want to be wrong. But, you know, I talked about NFL Blitz on the Dreamcast launch episode, and someone left a comment, which, like I said, I thought was Dave. I'm not positive. Okay, it was you. Good. So, and he was telling me that if I like Blitz, which I do, that I should check out this game on the PS4 called Mutant Football League, which I guess is supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Mutant League Football. And so I got it. I haven't even opened it yet, but I was just thinking that would be a cool live stream. So I've got a lot of things I want to stream using the PS4. I still would like to do a driving game live stream one night, where I drag my wheel and pedal setup over here. You know, we could play like some Assetto Corsa or Project Cars or something. I don't know how many people would want to watch that, but it would at least be a fun stream to do. It's funny, I wonder how good of a job I would do driving with people staring at me. Like, I feel like my wife even comes down here while I'm playing Project Cars, and I start, like, making mistakes and stuff. That would be something that would be very hard, I feel like, to talk while trying to drive around a racetrack, but... All right, hold on. I have to concentrate to make sure I don't screw this up again. How many freaking things does this guy have? Boom. That's a quality one. That's like singeing butt hairs. Not bad. All right. Let's play something else. Death Metal Jim's asking about lag. I feel like I said earlier, like, I don't think it's really even possible for this to not have some input lag. But if it does, it's not enough for it to be an issue. The sound lag is a little bit different, but as we were talking about earlier, apparently there's a firmware update for this thing that will fix that. Oh. Sorry. As you'll find out when you watch the new video that's going to be uploaded here, I hurt my back the other day, last week, so I'm still in a little bit of pain. So, word of advice for people: when you're getting on a plane and some old lady needs help putting her luggage in the overhead compartment, that is what flight attendants are for. So, as much as you want to be chivalrous and be a gentleman and do that yourself, maybe don't. Jerry, yeah, GameSack said that the sound effect lag was 11 frames of lag, which is a lot of frames of lag. Like, 11 frames of input lag would be completely unplayable. being chivalrous is a mistake. Well, I just, I feel like we're just raised, as men to be that way, and so it's very hard, like to this day, like all my coworkers are women, and I hold the door open for all of them whenever we go anywhere, and I won't even let one of them hold the door open for me, which some of them get offended by because, like, they're feminists or whatever, but it's just like, it's just so hard to unlearn stuff like that. So I don't believe I've ever played this game before, but so I don't really know what I'm doing, but it certainly looks cool. Oh boy, someone's having a bad day. What, was she forced into a life of prostitution or something? Oh, I see. All right. Well, Jerry, I mean, it is, I guess it's good to hear, but like I said, sometimes it gets you into trouble, because I don't know if, I don't know what this lady had in her bag, but her bag was extremely heavy. So, so I hurt my back. 42-year-old guy shouldn't be doing stuff like that. All right, Rory, man. See you later. Thanks for stopping by. So this kind of reminds me of like Popful Mail or something, which is cool. That's a great game. That's probably the best Sega CD game that I have, I guess. Well, not best, but maybe most sought after. Oh, is that how you heal, maybe, or something? Are there like people to kill, or am I just walking around talking to people all day? Wow, it still doesn't have a release date? That's crazy. David Green says, assuming you're asking me, how do you feel about GameStop closing 200 stores? I have very mixed feelings about that. I cannot stand GameStop. It's probably my most hated store or chain of stores. Every time I walk in there, I don't go in there anymore, but because every time I go in there, I just walk out pissed. Like when they re-released Katamari Damacy for the Switch, I wanted a physical copy, and it was a GameStop exclusive. And so the day it came out, I went down to GameStop. The day it came out, there was a line all the way to the door because, of course, they only had one person working in there, which is not cool for customers, but it's really uncool for the person working there. And, it said on the line they had the game in stock, and I went down there, and they tried to sell me an opened copy. And the thing about that really annoyed me is that game was released in limited numbers. There's no way it wasn't going to sell out right away. Why are you even opening a copy? Like, just leave them all sealed. Like, it's not a game you need to put out on display. And I waited in line for 15 minutes, probably, to have the person hand me an open copy. And the thing is, they don't even ask, oh, is it okay it's an open copy? And I handed it back to the guy, and the guy's not even like apologizing. He's just, moving on to the next person. And I hate that because it's like, you want to just yell at somebody just for the catharsis of it, just to be treated like that and have your time wasted. Like nothing gets me angrier quicker than having my time wasted. I don't know what I just picked up, but whatever. And, I hadn't gone to GameStop for a very long time because I don't like the place. And I made the exception because I wanted the physical copy of Katamari Damacy. And, it's like I had my expectations very much met. And I decided I was never going in there again. So, from that perspective, part of me is taking great joy in seeing this company finally get what's coming to them. Because they put a lot of other stores out of business. I mean, they bought up some other good chains, but they I'm sure put a lot of mom and pop stores out of business. I think they're partially responsible for the shift towards digital distribution. So, you know, part of me is enjoying seeing them dying, but at the same time, that's a lot of people losing their jobs. And, you know, really my issues with GameStop are with management, from like store store managers may be okay, but you know, it's like it feels like you become a store manager by being a good employee, but then you become like a regional manager by being willing to be a crappy person and to treat your employees like crap. And I don't want to save. So it's like I want those people to lose their jobs because like they're not good people. But you know, all of just the frontline employees at GameStop, most of them are just people who just really love games and wanted to go work at a GameStop, you know, and that those people are losing their jobs. There's nothing to celebrate about that. Like, that's really crappy. If you work in that kind of arena, if you work in the retail or service industry, there are just fewer and fewer jobs out there. And, you know, so I take no pleasure in seeing people like that lose their jobs. So I guess overall that's how I feel about the fact that GameStop is closing. Where's your... Oh, your health is over there. This reminds me of, like, Kadash. You guys ever play Kadash? Like, for the TurboGrafx? Kadash was also on the Genesis, but it's not nearly as good of a game. I never really got that game. And then BitHead did a playthrough of it where he beat the game. And, you know, that really showed me, like, having somebody play through it that really knows the game and knows that it's a good game, having him explain it really kind of sold me on the game. And I actually had it already because I just got it cheap somewhere. And that's a really cool game. I'm not as good at it as he is, but I mean, it was a pretty long live stream, and I watched the whole thing. So if they didn't exploit their position as the game retailer so much, you'd almost feel bad for the company. I don't feel bad for the company at all. GameStop is a company that they treat their employees like crap and they treat their customers like crap. So, you know, the only value they really have is that they are an entity that is employing people. And, oh man, I died. And so, you know, I do appreciate that because people need jobs, and we can't, the more companies that close and the fewer jobs we have, that's not good for people. But when that's the only value that they have is that there's enough people who are desperate enough to work at GameStop, you know, what is that saying? All right, so that was enough of Monster World. What time is it? 7:49. So I don't know. We can maybe go for like another 30 minutes. I'm not sure. And let me scroll up because I haven't kept too much of an eye on chat, so I feel a little bit bad about that. But I will say this seems like a really cool game. Obviously, I'm not good at it, and I'm trying to talk while I'm playing it. But that seems like a game that would be worth spending some time with, for sure. And yeah, you usually call before you go to GameStop. Yeah, I should have called and asked if they had a sealed copy that's set aside for me. It's my fault for not doing that. We were already going out somewhere, and so I stopped there. But it was more about the fact that, you know, I had to wait in line for so long because the store was, you know, understaffed. So yeah. All right. All right. What else haven't we played that we don't really want to miss out on? Trying to think of games we haven't really played before. Contra. All right, here's the thing. I'll play Contra, but then we're switching the system into Japanese because the American version of Contra is ridiculous. It was one of those things where, you know, in Japan, I think, I don't want to misspeak, but my understanding is that in Japan, game renting is actually illegal, or at least it was back then. And so for a while, they were doing this thing where they were making the games harder when they released them in the US, I guess to somehow get people to not... Wait, what is that? Is that Shinobi 3? I don't see a 3 in there. I got excited. I thought maybe it was a game we didn't have. That's Contra, right? I don't know what the Japanese box art looks like, but if that's not Contra, I don't know what it is. But yeah, like I think that they were doing, yeah, good, we got the right game. They were doing that so that somehow you know, you wouldn't rent the game because it was so hard that it was going to take you too long to beat. So sacrilegious to talk over the Konami splash screen. So the deal with this, I know I reviewed this game for my website, you know, forever ago. I just want to see if I give myself some extra lives. I don't think I've ever talked about this game on the show. But so the way they did what I was just saying about making it harder is that in Japan you got a life bar. Like you could take something like 3 hits before you died. And in North America it was 1-hit deaths. So I even did the math where when you extrapolated that out over like 3 lives and however many continues the game gives you, it was like, you know, it was basically way more hits that you could take, like a ridiculous amount of more hits. So that is how much harder the game was. Although, to be honest, the original Contra was 1-hit deaths. But I think this game's a little bit harder than the original Contra. Trying to refamiliarize myself with the controls. This is a game I have not played in a very long time. So see, I've already been hit twice, but I'm still in my first life. But if we were playing the US version of this, I would have been killed twice. So, I mean, it really makes the game quite a bit more manageable. Well, now I finally died. Don't hang out at the edge of the screen would be some good advice for anybody playing Contra Hardcore. Or any Contra, really. Oh boy, he's rearing up. Anytime a spider rears up, you should run. Write that down. Hey, DeForte's here. Thanks for the super chat, but I'm also just glad you're here. Oh, crap. So watch, I love this. It reminds me of like War of the Worlds or something. Like you see this bad guy in the background, just like, you know, this guy causing all this destruction. It's very scary. And then he jumps into the foreground to, you know, come kill you. Look at that. And then look right here, like watch this. Boom. It's pretty scary. You didn't know I was streaming. Yeah, I did a really bad job of scheduling the stream. Like I was busy today at work, and you know, ideally I would have scheduled the stream for, you know, or I would have scheduled the stream like this morning, just so that people would kind of know it was that it was coming. But I think I didn't schedule the stream until like 3 o'clock, which is pretty late. So that's my fault. Ooh, how do you switch? How do you switch weapons? Oh, there we go. Nice. All right. See, so I feel like when you play it really, in my opinion, somebody will tell me I'm wrong, but it really ruins this game playing the American version. But playing this Japanese version, like, this is a damn good game. But at least this way, just having the extra lives or whatever at least gives you a chance to try to get good at the game. I totally forgot what this boss is like. That's the funny part. That big gigantic thing that was like burning down whole buildings with its monocle or whatever wasn't even the boss. Like, that would have made a better boss than this guy. I don't remember this guy's... Ooh. Damn it. Alright, we just gotta get down. Yeah. Shoot him in the feet. Pushed the wrong button. Alright. So that wasn't great, but you can see where if you had a little bit more practice and you learned the bad guys' patterns, it wouldn't be bad, right? I mean, at least we're still on our first credit. So, I mean, this is a good example of a game where you really benefit from the fact that you have both the English and Japanese versions. Yeah, what Chris Cuthbertson just said. I definitely didn't slaughter him. If I had slaughtered him, it wouldn't have taken me, like, a lot of lives to do that. Is the PAL version on this? That I honestly don't know. Like, how would I be able to tell? Would it just be slower? Sorry, I'm just scrolling up here just a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed a super chat from Ecco. Our Tuesday night live stream is going to be a thing again. I mean, I can't really say for sure that they're going to be on Tuesdays. As I said this at the beginning of the stream, but I know that, a lot of people weren't here. Now that the Dreamcast launch video is done, I really want to make live streaming a thing again. So sorry, I'm just dealing with a issue here real fast. Oh, okay. That was easy. Okay. And, I think what would be nice. So, I mean, the reason that it was on Tuesdays was that my wife was doing something on Tuesdays. And so it made it really easy. But it's not like my wife cares if I live stream when she's home. So one thing that I don't really see myself going back to streaming every week. But I don't know, it'd be nice to at least stream every other week or something. But I think it would be kind of cool not to stream the same day. Because most people's work schedules, I would say, are pretty consistent. And so, like, for instance, Tommy, he could never watch the streams live because he works on Tuesdays. And I'm sure that's the same for a lot of people. And so I just think, there's no way that you can accommodate everybody's schedules, but for every stream, I would say. But I think the way to be the most accommodating for people is not to stream at the same time all the time. So, I mean, really, I was doing the Tuesday night thing because that was the most accommodating, to my schedule. Yeah, continue. Sorry, I want to play this one a little bit more because I like it. Stream at work. It's funny you should say that because, sorry, Raydell, I already played Thunder Force 3. I actually have streamed at work before, like after hours, though. But I feel really weird because there's like, because of where I work, there's people that are at all hours, and the walls are thin. So I'm sure there are people in the next office over that could like hear me streaming. Not that they would care, but it just made me feel pretty self-conscious. So, I know you're just joking, but I don't know. I guess I'm just telling my story about streaming at work. Can you jump? Oh, you can jump. Oh, damn it. Okay, you can't shoot those things. I'm gonna die already? All right, that's pretty hard. All right, maybe that's enough for this game. That's a cool game, though. It's pretty nice being able to play it with the health bars. So we should probably switch to something else. But what time is it? Oh, it's 8. So we've been streaming for like 2 hours. I don't know. Maybe let's play one more game, and then I'll have just maybe some final thoughts or something to discuss, and then we should kind of wrap things up. I'm going to go ahead and switch the language back to English just so that I can read. Yeah, isn't Beyond Oasis on here? Or did I just make that up? Oh yeah, there it is. Duh, right there. But that's more of like a sink your teeth into it kind of game, right? Like that's not really... I don't really think that's something you just sort of pick up and play. Earthworm, yeah, a few people have been asking about Earthworm Jim. We can definitely... we can check that out. I have very little experience with Earthworm Jim. I'm just going to warn you now. It's not a game I ever had or played back in the day. Wow. Yeah, we've played Bloodlines on the stream before. It's more, if I'm going to play Bloodlines, I want to really... That's the kind of game where we could just play Bloodlines just for the whole stream and see how far we could get. So, okay. Yeah, Josh, that's not a bad idea. Didn't I do a like a Halloween stream last year? I mean, I'm not using that to say I shouldn't do it again this year. We should. But yeah, but that... Dude, how do you... I don't know how to get rid of that guy. All right, there we go. Isn't there something I'm supposed to do with that? Oh, no. Right? You have to drop that to launch the cow. Well, now how am I supposed to get back up there? Oh, there we go. Well, thank goodness we got the cow launched. Sorry, I'm stuck. This is another example of a game that I really want to spend more time with. Why can't I grab that? Alright, I'm gonna head back this way then. Well, but I can't go that way, right? Can you not whip your head straight up when you're jumping? Hold jump to jump higher. Oh, okay. Well, I think... Oh, there we go. All right, so can I just... Oh, what's that? You can make like a helicopter out of your head? Oh, I see. You have to whip one of these things. Yeah, I got him. Can you not kill that guy? Sorry, I know I'm not exactly putting on a clinic. Oh, just jump on it? Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm not familiar with this game particularly, so you'll have to excuse me. I think I see what I'm supposed to do, though. Ah, okay, got it. Actually, I think I have, was it Earthworm Jim 2 that came out? For the Saturn? There, finally. Do you have a gun? Oh, well, that seems helpful. Nice. That crow can take a lot of shots. Alright, sorry, it took me a bit to get the hang of it, but I think I'm at least starting to get the hang of it. Dude, not cool. Wow. This is just yet another example of a game I'd love to just spend a weekend just playing this. Do you not have unlimited ammo? What's that? All right, how do you... Ah. Oh, damn it. Oh, you suck. Oh no! The thingy's gone. If I walk over here, will that, like, respawn it or something? Oh, damn it. Whose bright idea is it to put those guys right where the checkpoint is? Yeah, see, I didn't realize that you don't have unlimited ammo, or I wouldn't have been playing it so fast and loose with the gun. Oh, you suck. close. Damn it. There we go. All right. Uh-oh. What does he have to show off first? Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that's about as far as we're getting that, I guess. Oh, you can shoot the falling debris away. Oh, we got another. Guy takes too many shots. Yeah, sure. Sega Dreams wants me to switch to EU language and see if it changes the front end. I'm curious about that too. This is a cool game though, but I just don't. I think my lack of skill with it was affecting the quality of the stream. And Teresa is requesting German. You had to whip him first. Okay, well, I didn't know that. See, normally if I was playing a game on a stream, I'd play it offline first, so. Yeah, all right. Changes it a little bit. Oh, that's cool. All right, so you get the Mega Drive branding or whatever, and then we get the European box art, so that's pretty awesome. Are there any games that are different in Europe? Well, somebody was asking if Contra was different. I don't know if Contra Hardcore was released in Europe with the life bar or not, but we can check it out because I mean I'm curious. That's going to be called. Is that still called Probotector? Yep. Oh, so this might have the robots too. Spiel starten. That beer's empty. Don't talk over the Konami splash screen. Wow. All right. That's pretty cool. Red guy, blue guy, ooh, cat guy. It's still in English. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted to see what it was in German, but at least this way I can read it more easily. My German's pretty spotty. Ooh, I'm not seeing life bars. That's disappointing. So this is, we're going to go back to one-hit kills, I'm assuming. Yep, one-hit kills. So I'm not going to keep playing this, but I'm curious, like, are there any games on here that would be different in, like, in German or just in the EU in general? Yeah, some robot, right. The RPGs might be in German. You would hope so. Oh, thank goodness, everybody, you can relax. Sonic Spinball's on here. Strider, I don't like that game that much. The Story of Thor. Yeah, you know, that's not a bad idea. I feel like let's wrap up the stream with the game that started it all, Altered Beast. Josh wants to know if Europeans feel shafted. They don't have human characters, or are they cool with the robots? I mean, the robots are cool. You know, I went to Ireland several years ago, and for some reason I really had it in my head that I wanted to grab a copy of Probotector. And I actually found it. I only went into one video game store the whole time I was there. And I mean, I've told the story before, I think, but I found they had a complete in the box copy of Probotector, but they wanted like some kind of ridiculous amount of money for it. So, no, okay, good. So, you know, obviously I didn't get it. So, man, I remember, so, you know, I feel like I've always told, like, bits and pieces of, like, the story of, like, how I got into retro gaming and whatnot. But, you know, because I gave away my Genesis when I got my PlayStation, or shortly after I got my PlayStation. I gave away my Genesis, and then a couple years later, I bought a new to me Genesis, a Model 2 Genesis on eBay. But I was never really that happy with it, just because I had a Model 1 Genesis when I was a kid, and so I just really wanted that back. And so when I was in college, you know, this is back when video games were still pretty cheap. I ordered, well, the Genesis that I still have now is a complete in the box, like, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, it's sort of the first revision Genesis in that it still had Altered Beast in the box. But did it come with Altered Beast? It did. I think, you know, that's the reason I got that Genesis, is I had this friend at school when I was in college who kept telling me, oh, you got to get Altered Beast. You got to get Altered Beast. And he was like quoting the lines, you know, the Welcome to Your Doom and Rise from Your Grave and everything. And, because I had never really played it. Like, I played Altered Beast like at a demo kiosk in like 89 or 90, but I hadn't really played it since then. And so he was the one telling me, he's like, oh, you got to get Altered Beast. And I think that's how I ended up getting that Genesis, is I just ended up buying a Genesis that came, you know, it came with Altered Beast, obviously, in the box. Oh boy, there we go. But it was only because my friend Dan, you know, was going on and on about it. Chicken leg. Sorry, I killed him really fast. Was it the same friend that loved Wizardry 8? Wow, you got a good memory. No, different friend. But that was also when I was in college, as I guess obviously you're aware. No, that was a different guy. Boy, I got some stories about that guy though too, boy. Johnny says, you're late to the party. How am I enjoying the Mini? The Mini's cool. I mean, I guess I was going to wait and just like until I wasn't playing to just sort of have like some closing thoughts on it. But so the Mini is definitely cool. And especially if the firmware update fixes the sound issues, which, by the way, we can still, if you want, we can try to I can look into doing the firmware before I shut the stream off, but I don't know how difficult it is. If that fixes the sound issues, then that's great. For me, I did, as I said at the beginning of the stream, I did have this pre-ordered, but, really, I feel like, just for me personally, I get value out of these consoles because I can stream with them, and that'll be something interesting for you guys. So, like, if I take, $100 or $80 out of the show's budget and use it to buy a console and do a stream like that, then to me, that's money well spent. So, as to whether or not one of you guys should buy this system, I would still say, as I said before, if you want to buy a Genesis, I still say, if you don't have a Genesis, get a Mega SG and mod it. If you already have a Genesis and you're just looking for a living room system or something to screw around with, then something like this would be cool, especially once you can hack it, And like I said, a lot of people are going to buy this because, they want to put it on the shelf. But yeah, as QE said, I there's no way this isn't going to be something that people hack later. So it'd be cool for that. The emulation, I think, is very good, except for the sound thing, which if that is fixed with a firmware update, as I guess we're going to find out maybe, then great. But I don't, I try to shy away. I don't want to recommend. I didn't see the pit. I don't like recommending that people buy things. It's just like if this looks cool to you and you're a Sega fan, then buy it. I mean, it certainly looks very cool, and I love the attention to detail that they put into it physically. So yeah, I don't even really know what else to say about it. I feel like even if I didn't have a show, it's the kind of thing that maybe I would buy it just to have it, just because I love Sega. I think if I didn't have the show, I would probably still want to buy all of the mini systems. But just to be fair, full disclosure, every one of my mini systems is in the closet. I don't have any of them hooked up anymore. Just because I don't really need them to. Like when I first got... Oh, you suck. All right, that's game over. Like when I first got my Nintendo Mini, I think I even mentioned it on one of my shows. Like I had it hooked up in my living room, and that was pretty fun for a little while. But ultimately, I have all the real systems, and I would rather play things that way. All right, so I'm going to turn this thing off now, and I'm going to switch the view back. But I'm going to keep the stream going because I'm going to look up on my browser here that I have open. I'm going to see how difficult it is to do. I don't even know what I need to do the firmware upgrade, if that's even really a thing. I don't even know where I would get it because the system's not out publicly yet. So Sega Genesis Mini firmware. Oh, sorry, my wife's texting me. Uh-oh, she's on her way home. We got plenty of time, don't worry. All right, I don't know what's going on. All right, so I don't see anything on here. If anybody else, if you have a link to, well, I guess it won't let you guys post links in the chat. Rate your minis. It's not the kind of thing I would do. It's not a bad idea, but if anybody has any suggestions of where I can get this firmware update, let me know. I'm looking on the official website here, and I don't really see anywhere that you would be able to click. And like I said, if there really is a firmware update that's already out there, I'm very annoyed that they wouldn't tell us about it, since we're supposed to be, helping them to promote these things. Anytime past week. I'm not seeing anything. I don't want to make you guys sit here and stare at me while I'm surfing on the internet. Um, yeah, people were saying earlier in the stream that there was a firmware update. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about hacking it. There was a couple people said there was a firmware update that would fix the this sound lag issue, but maybe it's just maybe they've announced that there's going to be one, or I don't know. I couldn't even find anything. So so yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they do fix it. It's not the fact that there's sound lag is not like a deal breaker, but it just I mean, is it a deal breaker? It's just like it it shouldn't have these problems. So it's the kind of thing I guess that would I don't know. It might be enough to stop me from buying one if I didn't know that it was going to get fixed. So there's just no excuse in this day and age. And it's like I said earlier, it annoys me because there's really no excuse in this day and age for anything to get released with subpar emulation. So try putting the Konami code in. Hey, Castlemania Ryan's here. Do you celebrate Halloween? Are you talking to me? I definitely celebrate uh, uh, Halloween. Yeah. Oh, someone says it's a day one patch. Well, we'll see. I don't know if you're telling me or you're guessing, but is there sound lag in every game? I guess I can't say. It's just that for me, you know, I'm very very familiar with the Sonic games, and so like I noticed immediately that there was something up with the jumping, and it's funny because it makes you think that it's input lag when it's not. Um, but it's distracting. But I don't. If I'm being honest, it's the only game that I notice it um, on. But that doesn't mean that it's not in the other games. I just don't maybe notice it. And yeah, for sure, it's true. DVD Byte says the mini is for casuals and people who got the other minis. Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Is just like I guess for people like me, or I guess maybe to a certain extent, people like us, it's a cool thing to have. It's a cool way to support Sega. It's like, it's not like you're going to buy this and it's, going to become your probably go to solution for playing Genesis games. But another thing I will say, if you have a Genesis at home and, maybe you're playing it on an old CRT, you don't want to buy like upscalers and whatnot, and you don't want to buy a Mega SG, but you want to be able to play the Genesis on an HD TV, then this would be good for that. I suppose. I mean, is the emulation better than a Raspberry Pi? Maybe not. I don't really know. So, um, so yeah, I don't know. Unless I forgot something, I can't really think of anything else that I want to say about the Genesis Mini. It was cool that Sega sent it to me. It saved me $80. Saved us $80 really. It was show money I was going to use. But other than that, I guess I would just say I guess you guys should already know that. But as I said earlier, I know there's a lot of YouTubers putting out content about the Genesis Mini. Just to make it clear, none of us are being paid for that, and Sega's not telling any of us what to say. The only thing they sent us was a bunch of visual assets we could use, pictures and stock footage and stuff like that. But they're not trying to get us to pass any particular message along to anybody. They're just trying to give it to us and let us do this kind of stuff with it. So so that was cool of them. The Poly Mega. Boy, we could talk about that for a few minutes. I'm not getting the Poly Mega personally, just because I have found the behavior of the Poly Mega people to be off-putting. And, you can, whether or not that bothers you enough to not buy something, that's up to you. For me, it's like the Poly Mega is not something I really need. The only thing I would ever probably do with it is stream with it. Maybe that's the kind of thing I could set up in my living room to be like an all-in-one solution, but I don't really play games in my living room. And seeing sort of the behavior of the Poly Mega people on Twitter and whatnot is just like, I don't want to give you my money, and you're not selling something that is something I need enough that I'm willing to give you my money, even though I think you're maybe kind of a bad person, if that makes sense. Or at least you're trying to play the character of a bad person on social media. And, some people seem to think that acting all edgy like that, is cool because it makes you stand out. But it's just like, they were throwing all this shade at Analog when the Mega SG came out because, oh, it doesn't do 32X. But the way they were going about it is just like, I've kind of learned the hard way. I mean, for anybody that follows me on Twitter, maybe you saw my tweet the other day that, I've really kind of learned to just really try to conduct myself with class on social media. And if I have a problem with something that maybe another YouTuber is doing, to either keep it to myself or to, discuss it in private instead of trying to like call them out publicly because I'm trying to showboat for my own followers. And that's something that happens a lot on social media is that, people they're trying to make it seem like they're white knighting for the community, but really they're just trying to showboat and look cool in front of their followers, like it's high school or something. And honestly, that's what Polymega was doing. They were trying to look cool in front of the people that are already like all in on their system. So, yeah, I don't know where I was going. I would just say, like I said, that kind of behavior I think is a little bit off-putting. Ryan says you agree, but to be fair, they threw shade first. Well, I mean, that's a long story that I'm really not the best person to tell, but I know that there was a little bit of nebulousness about the emulation on the Polymega. I don't really want to go any further about that just because I don't think I'm well equipped enough to talk about it. I can only say what I saw and how I feel about it. So, and that's probably enough talking about the Polymega. Anyway, D and 517101 says, Chris, do you have a Mega SD? I don't have a Mega SD. And so I'll tell that story real quick. My thinking was I had just paid kind of a lot of money to get my Sega CD recapped, and I don't remember if he put a new laser in it or if he just adjusted the one that was in there. I just don't remember. And I just felt like I just paid all this money to have my Sega CD kind of like restored. And so I didn't want to go spend because it's like 250 euros, right? Which is not, I don't, some people think that like EverDrives and these other types of things like cost too much money. And I 100% don't agree with that. But at the same time, I'm not rich, and money, if I take money out of the show budget for that, then that's, I'd rather spend that money on things like video lights or, I bought a new microphone that wasn't cheap, like things that are going to make the quality of the show better. And, they had told me like, oh, we might be able to get you a review unit of the Mega SD. But like I said, I just don't want to do reviews anymore. So anyway, that was my thinking of why I didn't get one. And then for a long time, I did that Sega CD live stream. And then I didn't turn on my Sega CD after that for a long time. And then, I don't know, maybe like a month ago or something, I wanted to play some Sega CD just for fun. And I put a game in there and turned it on, and I heard all this rubbing in there as the disc was spinning. And apparently, at least according to Mobius Strip Tech, he says he knows what that is, and something broke that kind of, like somehow the CD spindle dropped by just a little bit, and it's still playable, but it drives me nuts. And so I need to get in there and fix it. And I need to get in there and fix it. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, thanks for the $10, bada bing, but please don't do that again. And that goes for anybody. I don't want politics on my show, either way. So thanks for the $10, but please don't do that again. Yeah. Anyway, so that's why and so now because of that, now I kind of feel like, now I kind of wish I had a Mega SD, but at the same time, I don't know. I really love the Sega CD, and somehow not having that feels more like I'm not playing the real hardware than other things. I mean, it's kind of like the Super SD System 3. You know, it's awesome, but you're not putting the disc in there anymore, and it just kind of feels weird. So, yeah, I'd rather have a CDX. I would love to have a CDX. So, I mean, that would be really cool. It's one of those things where I didn't buy a CDX. You know, back when I first started getting into game collecting, you know, a CDX was like, you know, 80, 90, $100. But that was back when a Genesis was like $10. And so it felt like so much, like, I mean, the whole retro gaming, you know, economy has just scaled up, right? So at that time, that was very expensive, you know, because any like NES game more than like $10 was considered sort of expensive. So, and of course now you look back on it and like some of that stuff was cheap. You know, I was at this retro gaming convention, and you know, like they wanted over $100 for like Mega Man 5, but that used to be like a $10 or $15 game for a long time. So, and Britt says, "What do you do for work?" I'm a chemist. Like I work at a university as a chemist. I'm not really trying to shut it down. I mean, I can hang out for a little while. I mean, I'm not in a hurry to like, you know, click the stream off. I just don't want to like waste people's time because I'm just sitting here like spinning my wheels. I don't blow things up, but I wish I did. That would be cool. Well, I blow molecules up, but you don't really get to see it because they're molecules. But I do blow them up. Have you ever seen an optical drive for the Sega CD? I don't know. Do you mean an optical drive emulator? I mean, that would be kind of cool, I guess. I just want my Sega CD, but I just want it to work. So, but Mobius Strip was saying that whatever part it is in my Sega CD that broke, they don't have like a replacement for it. But it seems like in my mind, it seems like something I could glue back together or something. But I have to get in there and really like take it apart. Oh man, I forgot. Josh, is your name still Toilet Critic in the Discord? I hope not. I changed his name to Toilet Critic a few days ago, but I didn't mean for that to be permanent. But now I feel like I maybe did never change it back. Oh, you can change it back. Oh, thank goodness. All right, good. I felt bad for a second. Do you play action RPGs? I've never played the Diablo games actually. I'm not saying that like I'm proud of it. I just I didn't have a gaming computer when Diablo came out, and so there's like this little window, well not even that little of a window. Like I would say like maybe like 1994 till like 2001. Like any PC game that came out during that window, I didn't probably get to play. Like for example, this will probably ruffle some feathers, but Quake. Remember, I had that footage of Quake in the Dreamcast launch video. That was the first time I ever played Quake, because Quake was one of the first games that I remember. It came out and I couldn't play it because at that time I had a 386 and I didn't have a 3D card. Right? I mean, I think Quake. I know Quake did come out for DOS, but I seem to remember that playing it on Windows 95 was sort of the preferred way to play it, wasn't it? But I couldn't afford. I was making $4.25 an hour, man. Like I could not afford a new computer. So I had my PlayStation that I got after a while, but I wasn't playing. I wasn't playing Quake, which is too bad. Is it time to lock up the chickens? Probably, but they'll be all right. I don't want to. I'm not going to go lock the chickens and make you guys wait. So. It hasn't been dark for too terribly long, I don't think. So I'd hear them screaming if something happened anyway. Hope not. Oh, Josh says Doom is better than Quake. I mean, I can't say because I've played Doom. I only played a little bit of Quake. I will say I played Quake for probably a good hour. When I was recording the footage for the show, I didn't record a whole hour worth of footage. But like I had to buy the game because I didn't have it. I bought it on either Steam or I think I bought it on Good Old Games or whatever it's called. It was like $5, not a big deal, but I had to buy it just so I could have like 10 seconds of gameplay footage, but also just because I figured like, hey, this way now I have the game and now I can play it. So I enjoyed playing it for like the hour that I played it, and it's another one of those games that now I want to go back and play again. Have I tried any new beers lately? Oh hey Anthony. New beers? No, I'm very excited because I bought my first pack of Oktoberfest beer for the season. I think I have some Oktoberfest squirreled away down here from last year. Hopefully it's still good. I mean, I'm in the basement, so I think it would be okay, but we'll see. Rise of the Triad? Nope, haven't played it. Majestic 98, love my videos. Thank you. Teresa says, "Will you try Apple Arcade?" I don't know what that is, but if you want to tell me what it is real quick, I'll tell you if I want to play it or not. DVD Bytes never had a 3DO. I don't know if I would actually say that a 3DO is worth picking up, but I enjoy having mine. Tommy, normally you have off on Thursdays. We had to cover for someone. Yeah, sorry, Tommy. I had a great time. I got to hang out with Tommy for the better part of a day at the convention. I don't want to talk too much about the convention because I recorded a video yesterday talking about it that I'm going to upload tomorrow morning, so I kind of want to wait. Oh, hey Ryan, thanks man, thanks for the $5. So I'm not coming to the Portland Expo. I didn't get invited to it, and I don't know. I feel like I should have asked to come. I don't want to say who. So I'll just say I was talking privately with another. Well, I was going to say another big YouTuber, but they're bigger than me. And we were talking about sort of the etiquette about how you go to conventions. Because for a long time, I just assumed that you had to like ask to go to the conventions. Because I'm like, well, how come I never get invited to these conventions? I got kind of like, and at some point I just figured like, oh, you must have to ask to do that. But then I got invited to 3 conventions. So I realized now you don't have to do that. But so I still kind of feel like, weird, like trying, because it's like inviting yourself to something. Like you don't invite yourself, you wait till somebody invites you. And so I've never asked to go to a convention, but at the same time, like, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo is a really cool convention. And I will say this is not really spoiling anything, but especially because I was complaining about it on Twitter. But when I flew out to New Jersey last Friday, my flight got delayed by like 4 hours. And so to like make up for it or whatever, Southwest Airlines gave everybody that was on that flight $100 travel voucher. And I'm like, what am I going to use this for? And then I thought about it because, you can fly direct very easily from Sacramento to Portland. So I was thinking like, well, what if I just took an early flight? I'll fly to Portland. I'll just, take the train. They have a very good train system in Portland. Take the train to the show, hang out at the show all day, and then get on another airplane and come home. But, I looked and I wouldn't even land in Portland. Like the earliest flight doesn't get me there till like 10:30 in the morning. So I probably wouldn't get to the show until noon. And I think the flight out I take is like at 5:30. So I would literally be able to be at the show for like 3 hours. And I would still have to pay a decent amount of money out of pocket. And so it just seemed like it wasn't worth it because like if I had been like a guest of the show, I would have gotten a hotel room. And then I could have actually like not been in such a hurry and stayed for a couple of days. But, I'm already doing these 3 conventions this year. So I'm just thinking, it'd be cool to go next year, because especially for a YouTuber, like it's cool. The number one reason for going to a convention when you're someone like us is to meet the audience. I mean, that's why they have us there. And that's the big thrill of going, right? Because I don't run into people in my personal life that are like, hey, aren't you Classic Gaming Quarterly? Like nobody cares. But you go to a convention and you get to meet people. It's like, it's a thrill both ways. Like maybe if you're somebody like Angry Video Game Nerd who's been famous for like forever, maybe it kind of loses its luster. But like for me, anytime I get to meet a fan, it's like a big thrill for me. And so it would be cool to get to go up there and do that. But the other half of that is that, this isn't like Hollywood where we all live in the same area. Like we're all spread far apart. And so like for us getting to meet other YouTubers who are like our colleagues is also a huge thrill. And so there's so many YouTube people going to like Portland Retro Gaming Expo that it would be really cool to go to that also to meet those people. Like I said, at this convention I just went to, that was the first time I ever met Smoke Monster, which was awesome. I met Bob from Retro RGB, also a very cool guy. And as I said, I got to meet Adam Koralik, who, like, you know, some people don't like his content. That's fine. I don't have an opinion. In person, he was a very nice guy. So that's nice. But that's only 3 guys because it was kind of a small show. Although I also got to meet Dave Crossan, who was the guy putting on the show, and actually that was like a huge thrill. So, but I look forward to going to more shows because not only do I get to meet more fans, I also get to meet more YouTube people, which is really cool. So now I've kind of let the chat go because I haven't been watching. So now I have to go scroll back up a little bit. Do you ever feel like you don't look enough like a gamer and other gamers mistake you as a Call of Duty bro? That's never even occurred to me. I don't know. I'm not trying to look a certain way. Like the way I dress on my show is the way I dress like at work. Like I feel like I went through a period on my show where I was like kind of trying to wear like gamer t-shirts. Because, you know, when you first start having a YouTube channel, you're like trying to just figure things out and you see what other people do and you're like, oh, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. So like, you know, if people would often ask, because if you go back and you watch the launch of the PlayStation video, which please don't because it's a crappy video, but I had like a PlayStation shirt on. So I'm like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. Like that's the kind of thing that like GameSack does. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. And so like I started doing that. And then you just realize it's like you're buying all these shirts that I don't ever wear anywhere else because this is how I dress like for my job. And so that's just how I dress here. And so if people see that and they think, oh, he plays Call of Duty or whatever you're trying to say, then I don't really care. I mean, I'm really trying to show myself less on the show. I mean, the Dreamcast launch video was an hour and 15 minutes. I think I had like 4 seconds of screen time, which is how I want it. So I'm not really trying to turn myself into a YouTube celebrity. I'm just trying to make good content. So, all right. Sorry. Still scrolling down. Come up here to Portland anyway. Yeah, I mean, I would like to. I haven't been to Portland in a number of years, and I really love it up there. But it's not a cheap trip, right? Because I got to pay for the airfare and then a hotel, and you know, it's going to be like $500-600. And so yeah, you know, it would just maybe next year, like I said, maybe next year I can come to PR. I always want to say PGRE, PRGE, because I know there's a lot of people that watch the show that are in the Portland area, and it would really be awesome to meet all of them. So come to the game convention in Dallas. I'd love to come to a game convention in Texas. That would be, I've never been to Texas really. Like I've changed planes in Texas, but that's about it. Thanks for the $5, Derek. I appreciate that. Hey, aren't you Classic Gaming Quarterly? Yeah, the only time that ever happened to me is the one time I went into a video game store here in Sacramento, and the owner was like, "Hey, if you don't mind my asking, are you Classic Gaming Quarterly?" I was like, "Yeah." That's the only time that's ever happened to me. Do I have any childhood stories about back to school shopping? That would be a cool idea. I'd have to really do some thinking and write down some notes, but that's not a bad idea for a flashback episode, actually. Was Pro Jared there? Yeah, no, he wasn't there. I don't know what I would say to that guy, but yeah. What's going on? People are fighting in the chat. Please stop fighting in the chat. Am I ready for Hartford? I guess I felt bad. So I did this whole, well, I'll explain it again tomorrow, but it doesn't matter if I say it now. I did like a panel talk at this New Jersey deal about the launch of the Dreamcast. So it was kind of like a live version of the launch episode, but not really. And it took me a long time to prepare for that. And so I didn't have anything to show for my own Q&A panel. And I felt kind of bad about that because I just feel like it's better. I don't want to be the guy who shows up for a Q&A panel and just like sits in the chair and just says, okay, fire away. Like that's crappy. I feel like you have a whole hour. So if you take just 10 or 15 minutes, put together a little talk, just I could show just some behind the scenes photos. Here's where I record the narration. Here's what my editing station looks like. Here's a screenshot of what the editing software, like anything, like when I was, just watching YouTube, I would see like behind this, like Classic Game Room did like a how it's made. Like I was fascinated by that. And so like if I just talked about like here's how I started my show, here's kind of like, here's what it looks like where I record the gameplay footage and here's where I record the narration, that would be kind of interesting, and it also kind of breaks the ice and gets the ball rolling. And then people can start asking you questions. I think it just kind of helps loosen everybody up. And so I didn't have anything like that, so I just sat down and I just like talked for 15 minutes. And then people asked questions, which seemed fine, but I felt like I had kind of half-assed that. And I think if you guys know anything about, how I do things on YouTube, I don't like to half-ass anything. So so hopefully I can do a better time, or I'll do a better job, because at Hartford, it's the same thing. I'm doing 2 panel talks. One of them is just going to be in a small room and it's just about my show. I told them to stick me in a small room because I just don't think that many people are going to come to my talk. And I don't want to be in a huge room that's like 10% full. I'd rather just be in a small room and let's just, try to fill that thing up. And then I've said this many times, but I'll just say it again. The other thing that we're doing is that Corey and I, from My Life in Gaming, Corey, are going to do a live magazine read through together, which, at least in theory, should be cool. All right, sorry, still scrolling down. I'm more a fan of your racing attire. Yeah, I mean, I like wearing the racing attire, but again, it's just like I wear that around in my, personal life. So, so like that's why I like wearing it on the show. Isn't there a gaming museum in Houston? Is that the one that the Digital Press guy started? I don't actually know where that is. I know he started a gaming museum in Texas. I don't know where it is. I would love to go to that. Oh yeah, Mothboy. The Q&A was good. It's funny. I thought the Q&A was like maybe okay. Like I recorded it, but I'm not going to upload it. It didn't turn out that well. So yeah. Who's your favorite YouTuber other than you? So you probably never even heard of him. Well, I shouldn't assume because he doesn't have a small channel, but like mostly I don't, oh, Richard Cheese. Don't let me forget. I'm going to answer this question, but Richard, don't go anywhere. Although your name is Brian, but whatever. Yeah, favorite YouTube. So mostly I watch not gaming content on YouTube. Like I watch like stuff about music or cars or like old tech. And my absolute 100% favorite YouTube channel is called V Westlife. Like one word, just V Westlife. And you might watch that and not think like, oh really, that's what you like? But like that guy, like people tell me they watch my show to go to sleep and stuff, and they're like, oh, don't take this personally, but I watch your show to go to sleep. Like, no, that's me with V Westlife. Like I love the guy's show. Like I think it's gotten to the point where it's like a placebo effect. Like if I watch his show, I start falling asleep just because I watch his show to fall asleep. But I really love his show. Anyway, just real quick. So, Brian, I was going to email you yesterday. I apologize that I didn't. I just put your magazine back in the mail yesterday, which I know is 5 weeks later than I said it would. But I was just trying to get the Dreamcast episode done. I packaged it up really, really well so that it'll survive the trip. I also put Corey's magazine in the envelope with it. I just don't think I'm going to get to doing a read through with it. It's a cool magazine. I don't think it lends itself well to doing a read through with. So I would rather just, get it to you and let you get it scanned. So, but yeah, I apologize. It took me so long to give it back to you, but it's on its way now. I sent it. It was going to cost like $40 to send it international priority mail. So I sent it international first class. So, I'm not sure how long that's going to take, but it's on its way. So, all right. I think I'm caught up now. So, I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap up the stream because I just heard my wife walk in too. So, so I should get going. No, Tommy thought the panel was great. Well, I appreciate it. The audio came out like okay. There was a lot of background noise, in the room, and where I put the camera was really not very good. So it makes it look like there was like 2 people in there, which there wasn't that many more than 2 people in there, but it was more than that. But what I might do, it was Mike McFly's suggestion. He says I should just upload it and make it available like only for patrons or something, which I don't like doing stuff like that because I'm not trying to like twist people's arm to get them to support the show. It's just more about like that content is so bad that I'm not even sure it's good enough for the side channel. So I don't know. We'll see. And again, and I mentioned this in the video that I recorded yesterday. It's just I don't think I really answered anything that people haven't heard me talk about before. Like if there was something that I said that was like, oh, that's like new information, then that would be cool. But there really wasn't. So okay, so that's gonna do it for the live stream. I don't know when the next live stream is going to be. It's not going to take as long as it took between this one and the last one. Like maybe I'll do another one next week or who knows. Like I said, I have this Mutant Football League game to stream. I'd like to stream some more PC Engine as well, and I want to do the driving live stream. So so we'll just see. But so thanks so much to everybody who tuned in tonight, and thanks for all your generosity, all the super chats tonight. That was amazing. So so yeah, hopefully you guys found this helpful. Maybe if you were interested in possibly buying a Genesis Mini, this helped you decide. I don't really know. If nothing, it provided us 3 hours of decent content. So so that's good enough for me. So I'm going to say good night. I'm sure you'll see me again before then, but I'll just take this one quick opportunity to just sort of peep out Retro World Expo in Hartford last weekend of the month. I'll be there, and a lot of other YouTubers will be there, along with a lot of other things. If you live anywhere in Connecticut or in an adjoining state, you should look it up and see there's going to be a lot of awesome stuff to do there. So, so yeah, so that's it for this live stream. Good night, and I'll see you guys next time.